So, friends, today I'm going to have one more session with none other than one of our favorite hosts on my this channel, Abhijeet from AstroEdify. And after receiving very good response from my community, and with a special request that why you did not have this session in English. So during this time, we will have our session in English, and we will try to have our discussion on a topic which is always a nemesis, which is always a challenge for the astrology community, which is about decoding Rahu and Ketu, planet of surprises. Like the way I say that Rahu is a planet of possibilities and Ketu is a planet of your potential, innate potential. So definitely when it comes down to understanding their nature, so if you have case studies with you, over there you can actually align that whatsoever happened in the life of those people and seeing it, correlating it with the contribution coming in from Rahu and Ketu, it becomes very important because if if when we talk about all sort of psychological turmoil which Rahu can create, all sort of extremities which Ketu can create, but at the same time they also hold this power of changing people's fortune in a strike of time. So that is something which we will try to decode in this video, and that is little bit about myself. And now I will ask Abhijit to share his views and his enthusiasm for this topic.
Thank you, Nipun. It has been wonderful speaking to you last time. Rahu and Ketu, as you mentioned, the thing here is that it is Rahu Ketu naturally they signify mystery, and when it comes to, in my experience, I've always found them the hardest one to decode, because the first of all, and the reason is simple, because Rahu and Ketu, they don't have natural control upon some things. Like some planets, they are natural karak planets for some things, like Venus is for wife or relationships or love or money. Rahu and Ketu, they signify certain things. Most people have a misconception in their minds that Rahu, Ketu, Saturn are always malefic, they are always bad, and the moment they are going to run their dashas, they are going to create a lot of misery and suffering in their lives. It's not always the case. We will see the cases today to explain the audience that how the things actually function and how you have to see them. But the main point in analysis of Rahu and Ketu is that you have to see that they don't depend, they don't have individual nature of controlling certain things. They depend on other planets for generating their own identity. They are shadow planets. They are not the planets per se. They are shadow planets which borrow the identity from the zodiac sign in which they are sitting, from the planet with which they are sitting, and in the nakshatra in which they are sitting. So they borrow the identity from them, and they also distort that identity. That is the main point, because let's suppose if Rahu is in Aquarius, actually Rahu, that is its own sign. Let's suppose Rahu is in Cancer. So Cancer is ruled by Moon. So Rahu will behave like Moon. But remember, Rahu and Moon are enemies. So Rahu will distort the zodiac sign of Cancer, and it will bring its own disruption and distortion in Cancer, and then you will find the results of that in Cancer Rahu. So and then there are variations further, because in each nakshatra, in each zodiac sign, there are 2.5 nakshatras, 3 nakshatras to be total. So you will see that there will be further variations in their results or exhibition depending on the zodiac sign, nakshatra in which they are sitting. We will see to that point today, in keeping in mind the cases which we are going to discuss. And one more thing before moving on, which I want to state here, is that people who are listening to this, you have to understand that Rahu Ketu axis, we are going to talk about the axis. Whenever Rahu Ketu axis is taken, both are activated at the same time. But you have to keep in mind that while analyzing, you have to understand that in the chart, Rahu and Ketu, among both of them, who is stronger than who, that you have to
Yes.
analyze. Because if and I have made detailed videos already about Rahu Ketu in different zodiac signs, keeping in mind the cases. Like if Rahu is powerful than Ketu, then what kind of results? If Ketu is powerful than Rahu, then what kind of results? Let's suppose they are sitting in Aries or Libra. So Rahu is in Aries and Ketu is in Libra. So if Rahu is in Aries and Rahu is powerful than Ketu, then majority of the results or tendencies will be of Rahu in Aries, and Ketu in Libra will function while being under the dominion of Rahu here. That is how it functions, or vice versa. That depends. So let's suppose Rahu is in Scorpio and Ketu is in Taurus. So they both are debilitated. They are not considered good. But I will take this particular case here in examples later. But what I'm mentioning here is that let's suppose here if Ketu is powerful, then Rahu can get good results also. So that you have to analyze, and how you can calculate that we will also see through the charts today. But in the videos which I've already made, I have explained in detail that how to calculate that which in among the axis of Rahu and Ketu, which planet is stronger than who, because the other one is going to give results under it. That is how we are going to take it forward today. Okay, so that is from my end, and I'll now give the I'll say that you should start your slides first, and then
Yeah,
I'll take it forward, keeping in mind that if I'll be able to contribute some new things in your analysis, which believe me, which is quite good here. So people who are going to now just see, we are going to talk about the similarities, because your area of expertise is also palmistry, mine is not, unfortunately. But the point here is that in this case, you will also explain the part of palms, means in the palms of people, how Rahu and Ketu are influencing, that we are going to
sure.
see, and of course the charts of selected
Sure.
personalities which we are going to discuss. So
Sure, Vijay, thanks a lot.
to you, just start.
Yeah, thanks, Abhijeet. So, Abhijeet, we will first, I'll just share the screen of the PPT which I have prepared. So, wait, now can you see my screen?
Yeah.
Okay, so Abhijeet, before that, before we'll start, first we will do a small chant connected to Lord Ganesha and one chant for Rahu and Ketu, then we'll start our presentation.
Yeah, definitely.
So, yeah, Om Vakratun Mahakaya Surya Koti Samprabha Nirvignam Kuruma Deva Sarva Kareshu Sarvada. Om Ardhakaya Mahaviryam Chandaditya Vibardinam Singika Garva Sambutam Tam Rahu Pranamamyam. Om Palash Pushpa Sankasham Tarakaghara Mastakam Rodram Rodrakam Ghuram Tam Ketu Pranamamyam. Okay, Abhijeet. So, Abhijeet, first, just because you mentioned this thing, and definitely I actually wanted to blend palmistry as well in my analysis, because palmistry and astrology all goes hand in hand. So, just for my all those audience who are not very well adept in palmistry, so I will just give a brief insight of major focal points of palmistry. Then I will straight away get down to our today's mutually common overlapping point of discussion, which is on astrology and focusing on Rahu and Ketu. So, and definitely like the way Abhijit, you mentioned this thing, you're so intelligent and you have got so strong grip on planets. I'm sure it's very easy, we'll be able to understand them as well. So, from palmistry, the very first point is Abhijit about looking at the three major lines. So, first we can see and we can start with this the lifeline in the middle, as you can see over here. So the lifeline becomes very important because it acts same like our ascendant or the lagan in the main astrological chart. So in lot many cases, what I have seen is that Abhijit, you will not believe that a couple of days back I did a reading for a girl. So in her case, her ascendant lord was very afflicted. Her ascendant lord was placed in the 12th house, and over and above that, it was conjunct with Rahu as well. So you can fairly just on a very first look, you can say this thing that ascendant is very afflicted. And when I saw the palm of that same girl, in her palm, the lifeline had got a very big island. So generally we say that the islanded lines are not considered as good. Imagine her whole lifeline was making a big island. So over there, I saw the beauty of these sciences and the way they were overlapping. Now the main concern is that for the layman, a lot many times when you say lifeline, people get to know the general impression which comes to mind is that, oh, lifeline means my age, my longevity. So no, lifeline simply tells about the quality of life, major events of your life, and the state of your health. Now, the second line is the headline. Now, headline is becomes very important because this is the line which tells about your mental comprehension. So, in lot many cases, this line can be seen as somehow equivalent to your fifth house and to your Mercury in your natal chart. So in lot many cases, you will find that people who have exalted Mercury, people who have got very strong fifth house or fifth house lord, in their cases, you will find this line to be very strong. It's very simple. A very well marked line without any affliction just tells about that mind has the capacity to focus, to comprehend. And simply put, if this line goes deep down, this is the domain of the moon. So if this line goes deep down, so people generally end up in the very creative fields. They get very emotional, imaginative, dramatic talents. And if it is very straight, I've seen people working in accountancy, very good in numbers, mathematics. And the last is the heart line amongst the three major lines. So heart line is like, it tells more about the qualities of your fourth house lord and your moon, your receptivity, like whether in whichever domain. Like I would say this thing, that if you have to see someone is trusting, someone is very loving, your capacity to love and nourish, we generally see from the heart line. So heart line actually tells about, like, in some other discussion, we will also divide the domain in the palm into three regions of sattva, rajas, tamas. So over there also you will get to know that if a heart line is originating and culminating on the sattva portion, the person has this capacity to emotionally and from the feelings point of view attached on a very higher plane. Otherwise, lot many cases people are just attached to the physical tendencies, physical attachment. So that all we see from the heart line. Now, the second point is that the most important line, the fate line. So the much Saturn is important in our astrological chart. Equally, this planet is important in the palm in the form of the fate line. I still remember that famous palmist Kiro. And mention is that when it comes down to the fate line, see, either you should not have that line in the palm, or if you have, it should be unafflicted. Because if you have and it is afflicted, it will definitely validate a career which is filled with lot many ups and downs. Like in lot many cases, I've seen people who have their Saturn to be afflicted, their 10th house lord to be placed in the 8th house. So see, from an astrology point of view, 10th house lord has gone to the 8th house, Saturn is afflicted, so career will be unstable. And in that palm, I have seen the fate line to be very broken, overlapping this. And in all those cases where people have 10th house lord placed in the first house, 10th house lord to be exalted, good planetary combination in the 10th house. So in those cases, I've seen in the palm that fate line is very well placed. Very simple thumb rule. If the fate line is coming from the mount of the moon, we say that your fortune will awaken after marriage or far away from birthplace. And if it is coming right from the middle of the palm, the person could be self-made. And just a brief review of the earth shape hand, fire shape, and air, and the water shape hand. So we say this thing, that earth shape hand, all the earth sign, Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn, the hand, as the symbol says, square palm, short finger, person is very detail oriented, very hardworking. Fire shape hand, a long palm and short fingers. So typical fiery qualities. You could be a leader, leadership qualities, very entrepreneur mindset. Air hand. So you have square palm and the long fingers. So all the intellectual, all the influencers. And the water shape hand, like all the creative people, all the like people who are like associated with therapy, psychology, creative arts. You will find them to be with the water shape hand. And the last slide of the palmistry, then we will jump. And here comes our the protagonist or the hero of today's discussion, which are Rahu and Ketu in the palm. So, Abhijeet, the middle portion of our palm is attached in palmistry with the domain of the Rahu. So, yeah. So we say this thing, that if you have some favorable sign in this portion, so even from the palmistry, this is a typical combination of those people who have lottery win. So like sudden speculation, working in stock market, trading and all. So that generally happens because of the some favorable sign being placed in the mount of the Rahu. So now over here as well, you can see that it is placed right over there in the middle of the palm. Your capacity to hold money, earn money, we see from the portion and domain of the Rahu. Now, when we talk about Ketu's placement in our palm, so right close to our bracelet. So this is the portion where you will see that the lifeline ends over here, fate line starts over here. This is the mount of the Ketu, and trust me, palmistry, astrology, numerology, they all go hand in hand. I've seen in lot many cases people who are born on the 7th of any month, people who have got like Ketu placed in the first house, moon conjunct with Ketu, or moon nakshatra being like Ashwini, or like this could be Magh. And in their cases, I've seen some prominent signs being over here in the mount of the Ketu. So yes, guys, that is what I have had to share about the contribution coming in from the like the basic essential elements which we need to know before we will dive into some deeper analysis of palmistry astrology in studying the life of some case study examples which we have picked for today.
Hmm.
So after this, guys, now we will take up the very first case of today, which is of Donald Trump.
Hmm.
I will briefly explain my understanding on his chart, on his details. So definitely, as you can see, that basis the details which we have. As you can see, this person who's very dynamic. I will not get into much into politics because his persona is something which kind of brings out very extreme opinions. So I'm very much sure that looking at this person, there will be those people who will hardly strongly love him, and there will be those who cannot even stand him. So that is the kind of persona which this person has. And now from where we get this indication, so as you can see that he's born with the Leo Lagna, and he has got Mars placed right over there in his first house. The Rahu Ketu excess falls in his 10th house and the 4th house. I will very soon get into it. So now as we see in the next slide, so certain points which I have mentioned over here, which makes this chart special, which makes this person special, and his Rahu Ketu axis special. So now, as you can see, the first point is that he is born on total lunar eclipse day. So, like the way we say this thing, that people who are born, and that is where Abhijit, I want to bring this out. That when I say not many of my videos, I say this thing karmic chart, karmic life. So people do not understand karmic. Being karmic is not always a curse. Being karmic sometimes also mean that there are higher powers which are helping you to attain something which is beyond a human reach, which is beyond human accessibility.
One thing I would like to add here is that, see, when we say karma is not only always negative, na.
Yes, yes.
Karma is also positive. We say papa and punya. So punya is positive karma, merits of the chart, and the papa is the demerits, the negative karma. So it's not always the case. Where I have seen cases of both the aspects where people are bringing a lot of good bhagya from their previous life. Because see,
Yes.
if somebody, and the basic thing, it's easy to understand. If you are born in a particular family, there the karma is there itself. Let's suppose if a person is born in a family which is quite poor, and it will be reflected in the chart of the person born into that family because of the bhagya he or she is bringing. And let's suppose a person who is born into a family of multimillionaire or billionaires. So what is the difference? They are both are humans, both are born into the world. Let's suppose both are born onto the same day, and still one is taking birth into a poor family, a family which is underprivileged and has a lack of resources and other problems financially, and other person is born into a well-to-do, wealthy, rich family with all sorts of resources just since the day of the birth itself. So that itself shows that right at the moment when you are born, the karma is there. So because ultimately, who is going to decide? Karma is deciding, na? Because right now the body is just born. It has not done any new action. So what is the basis of this disparity which is being created between the humans born in various capacities, various places, various circumstances? The karma plays the role. And I have seen one more thing, that, and Rahu Ketu, since we are talking about them, Rahu Ketu have the most potential to bring the past life actions into this life. That is the point. Saturn, Rahu Ketu, and Scorpio and Aquarius, these zodiac signs, they have tremendous capacity to bring the prarabdha, past life action, a portion of past life action. Prarabdha is portion. Accumulated action is sanchit karma. So sanchit karma is, let's suppose the body has traveled, the consciousness, the atma has traveled various lifetimes, 50 lifetimes, for example. So all the 50 lifetimes action is known as sanchit karma, total accumulated action, karma. And the portion, slight portion of that will be, and you don't know what number of lifetime is going to be exhibited, the prarabdha of what is coming. We don't know that. We don't know. It is your 20th, the karma of the 20th lifetime, or just the previous one, or the first lifetime. We don't know that. But the point here is that they have tremendous capacity to bring the past life karma into this life in any capacity, good and bad both.
And Abhijit, over here, I want to add on that. In one of my class, someone said, our teacher mentioned it jokingly that, okay, if you are born in a poor family, that is your destiny. But if you die poor, or if you have a poor father-in-law, that's your stupidity. Just joking. Okay, now coming back to the point. Okay, so the first point is that he's born on a total lunar eclipse day. Second point is that his moon is also in the very deep Gandanta, as you can see. Third point is that like certain positive, negative features pointed to comfort, like Karan, if you go by the Panchang. So he's born in the above Karan, ruled by Indra, which represents respectful, powerful, wealthy lineage. Yoga was Shubha, presided by Lakshmi. The Var, the day when he was born on a Friday, Venus. So just over here, only looking at the different limbs of the Panchanga, we can say this thing that definitely, born with a kind of a aristocracy and that sort of royal lineage or
Silver
something.
spoon.
Yeah, yeah. No, because his silver spoon is very giant. It's like not
It's
one of the silver, like
platinum spoon.
yeah. So you can see over here that half of the thing was already kept ready for him.
Correct.
So that is something which we can see over here. And in the next slide, the point which I've written is that now see, now we will focus more on the Rahu Ketu axis. So the watch points, Rahu Ketu 10th, 4th axis represents fame and attainment of power. Now, I was watching this one of the tabloid or one of the talk show. I forgot. This guy mentioned this thing that in for one of the movie was supposed to film shooting supposed to take place in one of his property, one of his hotel. So he said that to the crew that okay, you do not have to pay me anything. Just give me a small scene. So irrespective of being so wealthy, being in the limelight was something that he always knew that he has to be in the news. So this is where the importance of Rahu being in that 10th house, Rahu being conjunct with Sun comes into picture, that grandiose or that sort of concerns for being in a limelight, being visible, being out there and doing your job happens when you have Rahu, such a potent Rahu. See, whenever you have Rahu and Ketu, anyway, coming in contact with an exalted planet, coming in contact with a planet which is placed in its own sign, or whenever they come in contact with luminaries, they get exceptionally strong. They get exceptionally strong. So that is the only reason. Like even this time, we are like the United States, they're gonna go to elections soon, and the kind of dynamism and power this guy holds, he still knows how to eclipse the whole collective opinion of people and to be again, no matter how much things are going against him, how to defy it and come back again to the strong consideration list, being a strong contender. So that is what we get to know from the Rahu and Ketu axis being in the 10th and the 4th. And you can also see, because I forgot to mention this point, now he has a Kalsarp yoga as well. Now that is where, like, lot many times people say this thing that okay, I believe this thing that there is no mention of Kalsarp yoga in our Shastras. I completely buy that. I am doing majority of my courses from Bharatiya Vidya Bhavan. Over there as well, they do not teach anything about Kalsarp yoga. But that is the case because Kalsarp yoga, the concern over is that it can deny you certain things and it can give you sudden things in a very sudden and in a very sudden way. So that is all getting fulfilled in his case. So he has a Kal Sarpa, he has a Gandanta birth, he has a total eclipse birth. So many things you can see. Now after that, definitely Rahu Ketu are exalted. Now over here as well, there is a point of difference. Some people say Rahu exalts in Taurus, or some say Rahu exalts in Gemini, but ultimately, eventually, Rahu being in Taurus is strong. So Rahu Ketu are exalted, Rahu conjunct with ascendant Lord. Now, one more thing. What makes it very strong is that not only Rahu Ketu are conjunct with the luminaries, but Rahu is also conjunct with the ascendant Lord as well. So, and Ketu is tightly conjunct with the Gandant moon. So that also tells about. And along with that, Jupiter aspects Rahu and Sun with its 9th aspect. So the Jupiter's blessing is still coming over there, and all the planets are in the axis of Rahu and Ketu. Wait, after this, yeah. Now another slide. So as per the dispositor theory, Rahu's sign lord is placed in 12th house, making native extremely secretive and powerful. So see, Rahu in itself has got this power to make all the behind the scene kind of arrangements and all. And with this kind of thing, obviously he in itself has proven how powerful he is, how influential he is. But just because when we talk about his ascension to the power, so there must have always been so many secretive, clandestine, behind the door, behind the scene arrangements, which this access in his case tells about. So, and the second point is that Moon and Ketu sign lord is Moon plus Ketu sign lord is well placed in first house. Family wealth is connected to land. So definitely, this is where his father comes from, and the kind of holding he had in real estate, being a king amongst all the realtors and all. So we can see that the family wealth is connected to land. Third point is that nature conspire very strongly just to favor these people. Sometimes those who come in the way of these people got struck down by natural calamities. So again, this is one point which I always say, that when Rahu and Ketu become so strong, so what happens is that circumstances, nature, and omens become very important for your success or for causing harm to you. Like the way some people say this thing about Narendra Modi ji as well, that his omens support him in such a way that what happened in Maldives, right? There was those times when they were protesting him, and the day they started saying some negative, repulsive things about India, about Indian Prime Minister, and immediate after next few days, we're seeing there like blows and punches being exchanged with the elected members in the parliament in the Maldives. So much of the things happened. So that's what the case is, that people like Narendra Modi, people like Donald Trump, when you have such a strong Rahu and Ketu, for your success, for your fall, nature plays a very significant role. And I've seen that in lot many cases, that people who have such a strong nodal axis, sometimes they're people who come in their opposition, they become a victim of circumstances, victim of natural calamities, and nature conspires everything to make them or ensure the success of these people. So this is also one point which I want to bring out over here. Along with that, after that, I guess there's one more point which I have written. Yeah, one more thing. So Rahu Ketu 11th, 5th. Okay, what is this? Yeah, so in the Chalit, because I knew this thing, in the highest and the lowest of the point, there would have been some shift over there. So Rahu Ketu in the 11th and the 5th axis represents fame and piercing intellect. Because somehow Rahu will also give certain results of the 11th house, and Ketu will give certain results of the 5th house as well. And Rahu Ketu axis now extremely powerful to grant lasting fame, huge wealth, and powerful connections. So yes, that is about over here. And I will briefly connect the palmistry as well. Then I will give the stage to you. So as you can see in his palm now, definitely we cannot get deeper into his palm analysis, because I was not able to find a very clear high res image. But just looking at the shape of the hand, so when I was explaining about the shape of the hand, this comes in the category of the fire shape
sign.
of the hand.
Correct.
Yeah, so fire sign. So you can definitely see the fire quality. Second thing is that there is a rule in palmistry where we say this thing, that if there is one finger which is very strong in your case, all the fingers bend down to it. So in his case, you can see the Saturn finger is so straight, and it looks like all the fingers are leaning towards the Saturn, leaning towards the Saturn. So that also tells about for a bureaucrat, for a politician or something, mass leader, Saturn has to be in a strengthened state.
And one more thing, he's into construction and real estate. Saturn governs that.
Yeah. Yes. So you can definitely see all the fingers are like bowing down, to this middle finger.
Correct.
And second thing is that, as you can see, the heart line is prominent. Mount of Venus definitely is prominent, and the thumb. There's one more thing which I want to mention over here is that, Abhijeet, what we say in palmistry is that the only thing which differentiate between a primitive man, between an uncouth and a very shabby man, with a very refined and civilized man, if you have to see the signs in the palm, you have to see the shape of the thumb. There has been a research where it has been found that all the criminals and all the dreaded criminals, you will find their thumb to be very clubbed and very distorted kind of thumb. So looking at his thumb, the beauty of the thumb, you can say that yes, royalty, regality, ascension, refinedness, you can definitely see all over here. And yes, his inner Mars is strong, his outer Mars is strong, and the fate line is also strong over here. So, but again, because I cannot go deeper into it, because I was not able to find a high res image. But yeah, that is all what I can say about this person. And now I will share the stage with you. And now whatever you want to share, Abhijeet, as per your finding it there.
So I'm going to share his chart here. Let me see. Share screen. Now, can you see the chart now?
Yes.
Now see, this is his chart, Donald Trump's chart. Now, as you mentioned, Nipun, that he has a heavy influence of Rahu Ketu, and that is why we are discussing his chart. The point here is that, first of all, if you look at the point I raised, that you have to first see, before jumping onto the conclusions, you have to first check that who is stronger than who. So in his case,
Yes.
Rahu is stronger than Ketu. I'll prove how. So first of all, let's see that he's born on a Friday, okay, and born on a Purnima Tithi. So Friday means the Varesh, the weekday lord in which he is born, is the Friday. Okay. Now the thing here is that Venus is the lord of Friday. Now Venus, in his case, if you see, Venus is powerful because Venus is first of all in Cancer, which is a good sign for Venus. Then it is Vargottam. Here in Navamsha, it is in the same sign. Then it is in Pushkaramsha. Cancer Vargottam means Pushkaramsha. The Pushkaramsha means it is an excellent position for a planet to be in, and if a benefic is sitting there, like Venus is a benefic, and also the 10th lord, 10th house is the house of career, reputation, image, public recognition. So Venus is very beautifully placed. So first point, forget about the lagna and everything, just see the first point, the placement of the Varesh. Varesh itself, Venus itself, shows that this chart has a strength because the day in which he is born, the planet is well placed. Next point, since if you will see now, why Rahu is stronger than Ketu, although both are exalted. I take Rahu and Ketu to be exalted in Taurus and Scorpio, not in Gemini and
Okay.
Sagittarius. I have explained it in detail why in my videos upon Rahu Ketu in Taurus and Gemini respectively. But what I am saying here is that Rahu and Sun are together. Now here Rahu and Ketu both are exalted, both are in Kendra. So how you will judge that who is stronger than who? And first see the dispositor. So if you see the dispositor of Rahu, who is the dispositor? Venus. Now Venus, as I said, is very strong because born in Friday and Vargottam, Pushkaramsha in a benefic sign. So Venus is fine. Then, so Rahu is gaining strength. Then another point here is Rahu is in nakshatra of Mars. Now Mars is a yoga karak planet in the ascendant, well placed, no problem. So Rahu is achieving support from both of them, Mars also, Venus also. And then third, it is sitting in conjunction with Sun, which is the ascendant lord. So Lagna lord, Lagna is your personality, nature, behavior, how you are going to be. So Rahu is in controlling that. Sun, and Sun is your natural controller of your personality in general. In his case, it is the Lagna lord. So Rahu and Sun are together. So Rahu and Sun is in Digbal, directional strength. So Rahu becomes powerful. Now Ketu is also powerful, but not as compared to Rahu. Why? Because first of all, Ketu and Moon are together, where Moon is debilitated, although Moon is in Neech Bhanga. But this conjunction is not considered good for family life and personal life. His personal life and family life has been really, really bad. But what I'm saying here is that Moon and Ketu are together, and Moon is debilitated. Sun is not debilitated. Keep in mind that Moon is debilitated. Ketu is in conjunction with a planet which is debilitated. Rahu is in conjunction with a planet which is the Lagna Lord, not debilitated, and also in Digbal, well placed. Then Jupiter's aspect is falling on Sun. No aspect is falling on Moon. Mars aspect is there, but Jupiter's aspect is a benefic aspect. Mars aspect is a malefic aspect. So the point here is that Rahu again gains power than Ketu. Another point, Ketu is dependent on Mars and Mercury. Now Mars, obviously, remember that it is in Scorpio, which is the own sign of Ketu also. But understand that Mars also holds control upon Scorpio. Mars is looking at the fourth house, which is obviously very favorable for his business pursuits, for properties and lands and everything. But if you check that Moon is in Kemdrumma, no other planets are sitting apart from Ketu with the Moon, then Moon is debilitated, Sun is not, benefic aspect is not falling upon that, dependent on Mercury, which is a Marak for Leo, and dependent on Mars, which is a Yoga Karak for Leo. So obviously, who holds power? Rahu holds power. Now his persona will be more driven by Rahu, and he is totally Rahu, because Sun and Rahu, remember, Sun and Rahu, Sun is ego. Rahu inflates ego in many, many times. So he has all those qualities of Sun and Rahu and Mars. So ego, ambition, power, authority, excessive, desperate need for being in public, social validation. He pretends that he does not care about people's opinions, but he cares about them. He wants to be in the limelight because that is Sun and Rahu. You feel controlled, you feel in power whenever you are in public among the people. Even if they are cursing you, they are not your supporters, they are your enemies, they don't like you, even then you feel power, because you are still in the limelight, because that is what Rahu and Sun are. Sun is light and Rahu is the celluloid world. I want to be in constant public opinion, no matter the consequences. If I raise controversies, I don't care. That is the point. So, but in this case, this conjunction is giving him tremendous power also. So we have established the fact that Rahu is stronger than Ketu. Now Rahu will function better. Means the power will be towards Rahu. He is driven more towards by Rahu. If he had been driven more towards by Ketu, the things would have been different. The personality would have been like Moon Ketu is a combination for spirituality, detachment, renunciation, more acceptance of the reality, self-awareness, isolation. He has none of those qualities. So he is total Sun and Rahu. Why? I explained. Next point, if you see, is that all the career he has been into, Sun and Rahu, Venus and Saturn. So very simple for real estate, Mars, Saturn, Venus, 4th and 8th house. So Venus is 10th lord sitting in Saturn, conjunction with Saturn, that too in the zodiac sign of Cancer, which is the natural zodiac sign of the 4th house, controlling land and real estate. Then Mars is 4th lord aspecting the 4th house and 8th house, looking at 7th house of business. So they are making combinations for that. Another point, he also went into production of reality TV shows, WWF, and he also owned beauty pageant, Miss Universe beauty pageant for approximately more than 15-16 years. He used to hold them, own them. So what is that? All that beauty part, that is Venus and Rahu. Sun, Venus, Rahu, creative combination. So I am associated with the entertainment industry also. And one more thing which I want to point out is that he built not only the conventional residences, he built luxurious residences, resorts, hotels, casinos. That is 12th house is luxuries, 12th house is pleasures, Venus is 12th house, Rahu is in 10th, Rahu is gambling, Rahu is casinos, Rahu is all kind of worldly pleasures that are possible in the world. Every kind of luxury is controlled by Venus and Rahu, and they are influencing the 10th house and the career directly, and they are strong. So he built those kind of properties also, which were high end in nature, which could only have been afforded by multi-millionaires, not people like you and me. So those kind of properties he built, and he ventured into the part of entertainment for a better chunk of his life. Not worked, but he associated with entertainment, hosted his reality TV show, where wrote a book, The Art of Deal, which became really popular. Then he owned the beauty pageant, as I mentioned. Then he entered politics. He started his journey in politics in 2000. For the first time, he started his career for a presidential run in 2000. Nobody took him seriously back then. But understand that all this happened in Rahu Dasha. Rahu Dasha, before that, he was already famous. But my point of explanation here is focusing mainly on the Rahu, which started from November 98 to November 2016. 13th November 2016. It ran for 18 years, and Rahu Mahadasha, Sun and Rahu. Now the combination for politics. Politics is seen from Sun, Moon, Rahu, Saturn, Jupiter. Sun is government, Moon is government, Saturn is democracy, Saturn is public service, Jupiter is legislation, Jupiter is governance, Jupiter is law and order, that is Jupiter. And Rahu is politics. Rahu is and it makes a big thing in this day and age, because everything is about portrayal of an image. That is what Rahu is. You have to portray what you are trying to build, an image, not what you are. And he is expert in that. He knows. And the thing you said, that here Rahu is in Taurus. Taurus is speech. Taurus is speech. Mercury, which is the controller of speech, is in Rahu's nakshatra. It is in Ardra. It is in Rahu's nakshatra. Whatever he will speak, first of all, understand this is not a chart of an honest person. He is not an honest man. Not possible. He is not an honest businessman, not an honest politician. But what I am saying here is that in his case, he relies majorly on instigating controversies. They help him a lot. That is Rahu. Rumors, controversies, things which are smoke, which are like in the air, not true, not false, somewhere in between. That is Rahu. And one more thing, Rahu is also bipolarization of masses. That is Rahu. People who play to the politics of bipolarization. You divide on the on any grounds, whether they are racial grounds, religious grounds, ethnic grounds, whatever grounds, or monetary grounds, economic grounds, any socio-economic factors. If you are dividing and playing that part, that is Rahu, dividing the people. And he knows how to do that. Natural instinct, he knows that. And Rahu is very beautifully placed in 10th house, and in Navamsha it is in 4th house. 4th house is people. 4th house is very important for politics because it is the house of people. You are going to people to beg for the votes. Otherwise, how you are going to be in power? So Rahu, and he became president in Rahu Dasha. See, his swearing ceremony happened in Jupiter in 2017, okay, in January. But before that, he became president. He got elected to the post of president in November 2016. So Rahu Mars Dasha. Rahu Mars Dasha was the last Dasha which gave him this power. He became president in Rahu Mars. And later on, when Jupiter came, he remained president, and then he lost the next election, that we all know. But understand that why Rahu gave. Even at the last moment, Rahu was ending in November 2016, and just before the end, he became president in Rahu Mars. So why? Because Rahu is making that combination. And in his business activities, because see, Rahu is also the controller of 7th house along with Saturn. So in business also, he has declared lots of bankruptcies, lots of litigations, lots of problems, lots of things. So that has happened. He has always been in controversies. And one more thing, which I wanted to point out, that understand that people who think that Sun and Rahu are always bad, they are not. And one more thing, understand that here technically the eclipse is there, but Sun is above in degrees than Rahu.
Yes.
So Sun is not behind. If it would have been behind, then Sun would have been further more weak. Here Sun is not weak, and Sun is further in Gandanta. Gandanta means it is going to give partial result from 11th house also, so which makes very good position for Sun. And same thing with Moon. Moon is also farther in degrees than Ketu. It is forward than Ketu, not behind Ketu. So they both are in technically the eclipse, but they are like they have passed the eclipse. They are not under the direct influence of Rahu Ketu anymore. But one more thing which I want to point out here is that Sun is your image, Sun is your reputation, Sun is your respect in society. So he is known for all. We know how his image is. Okay, people, like you said, people who are his ardent followers, they believe in him, and people who are not, they think of him as a kind of person who cannot be taken seriously. So that kind of thing is there. But why? But further, forget about that. Another point which I want to mention is that Rahu clings to things. Understand, he is a deeply materialistic person. Okay, because Rahu in Taurus, Lagna in Taurus. Taurus means Maya, material world, money, wealth, power, luxuries, all these things. If you remember, there had been some riots at the Capitol Hill when he was there as president, and people were saying that he was responsible for them. So we don't know the actual thing, but later on he also he still has cases upon him. He also got very near to impeachment. There were discussions about that. So the thing here is that Sun and Rahu, they are tarnishing the image also, because Sun is ultimately with a malefic. Rahu for Leo ascendant, no matter it is giving you success, money, wealth, power, everything, but it takes you away from them also. Ultimately Sun and Rahu are enemies, so it has to act like an enemy also. So Rahu here is going to tarnish the image. It is going to create a situation where people will ultimately question your authority, your intentions, your ambitions in general, because Rahu ultimately does not care about people. Rahu means me, myself. It is a selfish planet. It only cares about himself. And people who are very close to him, his family members, there are recorded statements. I'm not making this up. They have claimed that he is not a scrupulous person. He is not a moralistic person. He only cares about himself. And that is the chart which we are seeing. It is representing this. So we are just speculating that why this factor is coming in. And one more thing which you said, that the past life action, the past life action in this case, good past life action, is born to a wealthy family, born to a wealthy family. Why? Fifth house is Purva Janma, ninth house is Purva Janma, ninth house is father also. His ninth lord is in the Lagna, Mars, and that too in Ketu's nakshatra. Ketu, I said na, Ketu, Scorpio, Rahu, and Aquarius. They have tremendous power to bring past life actions. Ketu is in Scorpio with Moon, and Moon is in Nij Bhanga, and Mars, which is fourth lord and ninth lord in the ascendant, very powerful in Ketu's nakshatra. So Purva Janma, Punya Karma will come. Purva Janma, past life positive action will come, which will show that he will be born into a good wealthy family. Another point, Rahu, he is born in means the Lagna of Sun. So Sun and Rahu, they are in Mars nakshatra. Again, Mars connection is there. By ninth lord in the Lagna, controller of Purva Janma Karma and father. Sun is also father. So it shows that he is born into a wealthy family. Same thing in Navamsha. Ninth lord in second house, very well placed. Ninth lord, Saturn in second in Cancer. Again, Saturn is also Vargottam. Saturn is also in Pushkaramsha. Powerful Saturn. So it again shows the same thing, that he is born into a wealthy family, wealthy father. And here fifth lord and ninth lord are together. Saturn and Venus making a strong Dhani Yoga. So forget about whatever he has done or not. Why he is born into a good family, a wealthy family. Fifth lord, ninth lord is strong in birth chart and Navamsha, making Dhani Yoga. That's why. So that is the point which we discussed in his case. I just wanted to show you the functionings of Rahu and Ketu, how they have manifested in his case. And one more point, fourth house is mother. A person who might not have been familiar with his relations with the mother, he had a very good close relationship with mother. People will assume that he had a bad relationship with mother. No, he had a close relationship with mother. And the reason is that Moon and Ketu are together. They can create certain troubles to mother, that is separate, of which we don't know. But mainly the relationship won't be bad, because Mars, the fourth lord, is not bad. Fourth lord is well placed. It's not afflicted. It's well placed. And further, Moon is in Nij Bhanga, cancellation of debilitation, which makes mother quite protective. Means mother and child will be protective towards each other. That's the point. So that kind of thing can be seen. We have I have explained from my end how the things have been of Rahu Ketu in his case.
Thanks, Abhijeet. That was very, very helpful. Now I will share my screen for next person, which we will discuss. So now you can see my screen, right, Abhijeet?
Yeah.
Okay, sir. So now, sir, we will go to the case of Steve Jobs. Definitely, this guy does not need any introduction. And basis the details on which I prepared my presentation. So as you can see that he's born with the Leo Lagna, and along with that, he has his ascendant Lord in the seventh house. Mars being the Yokar planet for the Leo, it is very well placed in the ninth house, and our point of focus, which is Rahu and Ketu axis. So his Rahu is placed in the fifth house, conjunct with Venus. His Ketu is conjunct with Jupiter in the 11th house. Now I will move ahead with my slides and the watch points. So the points which I mentioned over here is that Rahu Ketu in 5th, 11th axis of creation, intelligence, and recognition. Rahu in Sagittarius becomes extremely rebellious, and Ketu in Gemini becomes very critical. Now, this is something which we have to agree that from the zodiac sign point of view, because I'm very much sure that no matter how deep we will dig into the authenticity of the time of birth, there will be those people who in the comment section will still question the time of birth and the ascendant and all. So I will be focusing, definitely I will take into consideration the house axis as well, but I'll be focusing more on the sign placement. So as you can see over here that Rahu...
One point I want to mention here, Nimbur, that the details which I have taken here, I have verified them, and I have taken it from Astro Data Bank. They have a Rodden's rating. So the Rodden's rating is like for a parameter to judge the accuracy of details of the chart. So in his case, he has a good Rodden's rating. Steve Jobs, all the charts which have been taken here, they have good Rodden's rating. So that awesome. Can go for further.
Okay, sure. Thanks for clearing that out. Yeah. So as you can see that Rahu in Sagittarius and Ketu in Gemini, beyond doubt, is not a very good placement for from the sign point of view, because Ketu in the Gemini and Rahu in the Sagittarius is considered as debilitated.
Correct.
But when it comes down to specific to this placement, now before I will read my pointers which I have prepared, but Abhijeet, what I have seen that, see, Ketu represents the hoisted flag. I in certain
Got it.
times I have, in my one of the analysis, I've shared the chart of Billie Eilish as well. She also has a very strong Sun and Ketu being there in the 11th house, and in lot many cases, like the prominence of the number 7, prominence of the Ketu Nakshatra, like Mahendra Singh Dhoni, Cristiano Ronaldo, so many people, you will definitely see some in some way. If the Ketu energy is working prominently in your case, you will be standing on the top, and the thing is that you will not have any second contender, third contender. Like your field will be known because of you. So that sort of monopoly in your line of work is the capacity which Ketu grants. Now, just because it is a very, very fine point which you bring out in this discussion, Abhijeet, that amongst the Rahu Ketu axis as well, sometimes what happens is that there is one planet which is taking the shots, which is getting more powerful. So I would say that, okay, in this axis placement, if I were to say, honestly speaking, I have seen those charts with Rahu in the 5th house afflicted. People have mental health issue. They're like those people who have endured heavy losses in stock market, and there are even those people in extreme cases who have even committed suicide. But this is what the negative side of Rahu being in the 5th house. Like, because Rahu, okay, in the Lal Kitab, okay, I'm sure you do not follow Lal Kitab, but I still remember once I read just one dictum in Lal Kitab. It was written that Rahu in the 5th house is अपने बच्चों के अंडे खाने वाला सांप, like a snake eats his own eggs, something like that. So it's like 5th house Rahu is not considered as good light for your mental health, even for your progeny, and so many point of view. Now, definitely, it is a science of combination. But just over here, I want to say that Ketu in the 11th house can give you monopoly in your line of work. Like you be seen as a living legend and role model and example in that field. Now, coming back to my pointers. So, Rahu in the Sagittarius becomes extremely rebellious, and Ketu in Gemini becomes very critical. Rahu conjunct with 10th and the 3rd Lord Venus. Obsession with aesthetics and design. So this is something which we have generally seen. And because see, the way we say this thing, that whatsoever combination you have in your 5th house, because 5th house is connected with your past life as well.
Correct.
Some sort of poor punya as well.
Yes.
So sometimes that also tells about, see, like the way this in Ayodhya temple, the guy Arun Yogiraji, who sculpted that idol of the Lord Rama. So I'm very much sure, see, this kind of honor where billions of Hindus from all over the world were looking forward to that event. And now after this, every day, so many hundreds and thousands of devotees will be going to see that idol. So I can bet you on this thing that what Arun Yogiraj sir has done in this life, that sort of expertise and devotion and bhakti might have been initiated in so many past lifetimes as well. He might be a Gandhar, he might be an artisan, he might be a craftsman from the past lifetimes as well. So the point which I'm saying over here is that when we talk about some sort of unique, peculiar talents and traits, if you have those combinations in the 5th house, that generally gives us this indication. And if 5th house has Rahu Ketu axis, that becomes more prominent. So so yes, Rahu conjunct with the 10th and the 3rd Lord Venus, obsession with aesthetics and design, which we can definitely see in the life of Steve Jobs. Ketu conjunct with 5th and 8th Lord Jupiter, being a pioneer in your field. So that is what. And I guess I have made one more slide as well. No, so I will not take into that. Yes, and a little bit about Steve Jobs' palm as well. Again, my sincere apologies, guys, because I did not have the clear image. I tried my best. A couple of things which I want to highlight over here. This is the bony knob. So we say this thing, this is a domain of the moon. So if you have a bony knob in your moon, this thing, that also tells about very accentuated state of imagination, that your imagination could be very right, because this is what the domain of the moon is. And if this, you have this little bit bulge of the bone kind of thing over here, that generally tells about that your mind is very, very ripe towards new ideas, and the receptivity center in your subconsciousness, in the thought process is you are very intuitive enough. And if I'm not wrong, did I mention his moon nakshatra? his moon is in Pisces, right? Yes, his moon is in Pisces. You can see in the 12th, 8th house, moon in the Pisces, and in the Uttara Bhadrapada nakshatra of the planet Saturn. So, and apart from that, yes, I'm so sorry, man. I did not have a very, yeah, his hand has got very strong, like some a mix of the, I would say, the mix of the qualities of the fire, but yes, the palm image. I just wanted to have something in my slide,
No, he
but
also has a watery element. If you see, look
yeah,
at somewhat
yeah,
watery element is present.
because the
Although his
their
hand is looking
fingers
correct,
are
correct,
long, and the palm shape is also like a rectangle. So
correct, correct.
rectangular shape, and the long fingers comes in the category of the water shape.
Water
So
shape.
little bit of the watery qualities, and the heart line is also not reaching till the top. So if this is sattva, this is rajas, this is tamas. So generally we say this thing that people generally could have troubles in having very strong emotional bonds with people. Like you
Correct.
could be very good with your profession, with your craft and all, but the heart line tells about
Correct.
that. The fingers are very open, so
And
open fingers
and if you look at
just tells about
his mind line also, it's not quite visible, but I think it is coming straight.
it coming straight. And the only thing is that, see, okay, I do not know the shape of the little finger, but we say that if little finger is also not very long or any affliction, see, I'll tell you what, any aberration in the sexual behavior tendency is something, you know, that Mercury is a neutral planet. Mercury is a neutral planet. So we say this thing that even in the modern day, in today's time as well, all the PME, all the ED or something. So any aberration in the sexuality, we generally attach with the little finger in palmistry. I'm just giving a thing for my palmistry audience, that those who want to know about it. But yes, sorry Abhijit, I do not have much of it. Just for the sake,
No, actually,
it's a
what
lot
we
of
can
time.
deduce here is that if you just look at his upper Mars, it's this is upper Mars. No, yeah,
Yes,
upper Mars is
yeah,
somewhat
inner Mars. Yes.
so inner Mars. It's not somewhat bleaky, and his just look at like you pointed on to the part of Moon here. Same, just look at the part of Venus. Because I'll come to the point of Venus in his chart, but in his case, Venus is playing good role and bad role both. Because if you
Both, yeah.
see, Venus is bringing that level of design, creativity, artistic skill, and a capability to market the product. That is
Yes.
Venus. But
Yes.
if you look at his Venus in a personal sense, it is bad for relationships,
Right.
for
Yes,
love.
relationship point of view.
For
Yes.
relationship point of view, if you look at the Venus mount is very poor. And
And you know, the thing is, and Abhijit, you know what I've seen, that see those people who are strongly ruled by Venus, those whose in those cases where Venus is strong, see, Venus tells about your capacity to unconditionally be devoted to relationships. So it's not only their matrimonial life or their spouse. They will have good relation with their mother, with their parents, with their neighbors, with their friends. They are loving people. In short, they are loving people.
But we see, he is being prone to known as a person who is a very strict boss. He used to shout,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
he
yeah.
used to abuse, and he used to do, and he is a very stubborn man. He was a very stubborn man. People who have worked with him, they say this. But what I'm mentioning here is that that Venus, if just we look at his thumb is really well placed here, actually. Very.
Yes,
So if
yes,
we look at
yes.
his thumb, and if we look at his just the part of the lower part here, the Venus part, it is not very conducive with respect to the family life and the health.
Yeah.
Because
Yes.
I think because in his case, if you look at, he has Venus Rahu and Jupiter Ketu conjunction. So if you
Yes.
look at the Venus Rahu Jupiter Ketu, means two planets are in relation with Rahu Ketu, Venus and Jupiter. So who is Ketu? Ketu is this. Ketu is this part. Rahu is center part. Okay. So if you see Ketu, technically it is not clearly visible in this case, but if you see Venus, how it is placed here, this part of Ketu, this is somewhat in relation with Venus, not very well placed, due to which it will be bringing. He also had an initial deep interest in spiritual life. He came to India, he followed Neem Karoli Baba, and he became a sannyasi at one point in his time.
So that's what I'm saying, Abhi. That's what I'm saying. I actually completely buy your point that sometimes in Rahu Ketu axis as well, there is one end of the nodal axis which is more powerful.
Correct. So actually, in his case, both of them are exhibiting quite realistic, quite important results. But see, Ketu and Rahu are damaging his personal life, his health as well as relationships.
Yeah. No, but Abhijit, I'll do one thing because I'm done at my part. Let me stop my screen. You can share yours, and now you can take it forward.
Yeah. Wait.
Hmm.
So we are done with Donald Trump. Now, let me see his. In his case, this is Steve Jobs. So, like you explained already, I'm just going to point the simple things here. Understand that why. First of all, in his case, Rahu and Ketu are very very powerful. The reason is they are not only they are not only in relation with Venus and Jupiter, but they are in nakshatra parivartan. Rahu and Ketu are exchanging the nakshatras with each other. Rahu is in
Oh,
Mula, ruled by Ketu. Ketu is in Ardra, ruled by Rahu. So in his
Ram.
case, Venus, Rahu will behave like Ketu also, and Ketu will behave like Rahu also. And this is a
Wow.
situation which is very, very tricky to judge. Very tricky, because they are going to behave like each other, and which is a very difficult situation to address. Now understand that still, if we have to just focus on the first point, who is stronger than who? Actually, in this case, both of them are strong. Both of them. But if we say who is slightly better, like a minor difference, Rahu is stronger than Ketu. Why? Because understand, first of all, uh, he is born on a Thursday. Okay. Like
Hmm.
Paresh is Jupiter.
Jupiter.
Jupiter is in conjunction with Ketu. So no doubt his
Hmm.
Ketu is stronger. That is why I said both the planets are strong. And one more thing, Rahu is dependent on Jupiter also. Understand? Rahu is in the
Hmm.
sign of Jupiter, so it will depend on Jupiter in mutual aspect Jupiter. So you will see that yes, Ketu is stronger than Rahu. But understand the nakshatra parivartan, because Ketu has to act like Rahu also. Another point here is that Rahu is also powerful because his Lagna Lord is sitting in Rahu's Rashi as well as nakshatra. His
Yes.
sun, the ascendant lord, sun is natural controller of personality. Sun is
Hmm.
in alone without any conjunction or any planet in the sign of Rahu, in the nakshatra of Rahu. And
Ram.
it is going
Vishnu.
to govern his personality a lot. And why I'm saying that Rahu played a very significant role, because the dasha, he went through Ketu dasha and Venus dasha from 1975 to 2002. All his career was in this dasha. From
Yes.
Apple started in 1976. Its preparation. And one more thing, he was the main man, the technical brain behind Apple was Steve Wozniak, not Steve Jobs. People have a misconception. So Steve Wozniak, his partner, he was the main technical mind behind Apple, who designed everything, who created everything. He also played a very vital role, but he was more equipped to sell the things, to market the product, to design, to imagine, to create, that this is how, this is what let's suppose I am a person who has an idea in my mind, and I can employ people's services. Let's suppose I want to make a software, but I don't know how to make a software, but I have an idea. So I know how to execute that idea. I know how the things are going to go, but I hire a person uh, who knows the technical skills to get it done. In this case, I'm not comparing that to Steve Wozniak. Steve Wozniak in himself is a brilliant man. But what I'm saying here is that Jobs played a very vital role in creation, in imagining the things, in selling them, in marketing them, in making. And he started the part where the unveiling of the products, which Apple used to do this till this day. It was started by that practice, that the general meeting and everything, that whole showbiz, that was started by Jobs. He was considered to be a really good presenter of the things. So why I'm saying that these were there, because Venus and Rahu are in fifth house is creativity, arts, beauty, imagination, design, all aesthetics. That is Venus and Rahu. And one more thing you have to understand, fifth house is entertainment also. So he got ousted from Apple, and then he started Pixar, huh? Which was later acquired by Disney. But Pixar was an animation company, and he functioned really brilliant there, because Toy Story, all four parts, they were made by Pixar. They were their greatest hits. He made them. He was responsible for them. So why? Because fifth house and Venus are entertainment. Fifth house and Venus and Rahu are celluloid world. That like we discussed in Trump's case. So he has same ascendant, Leo ascendant, fifth, 10th Lord going in fifth house, 10th Lord Venus going in conjunction with Rahu in fifth. So fifth house is also the house of design, marketing, beauty, entertainment, creativity, imagination, all those things. So he was excellent at all of them. So career wise, he was brilliant. If you see in his case, Jupiter's aspect upon this. whenever Venus and Jupiter are in relation in Leo ascendant particularly, they make a very powerful Dhani Yoga. Very, very powerful Dhani Yoga. Shah Rukh Khan has that. So in his case, he also has that. But remember, Venus, Jupiter are in mutual aspect not only in the birth chart, in Navamsha also. And they are falling on 11th house. 11th house is gains, literal gains. So this means that in this case, they are giving the wealth, the publicity, the image, the reputation, everything. He was a billionaire. Huh? It matters because he earned a lot of money through his ventures. And one more thing, like you said rightly, that Ketu is Dhwaja. Ketu is like peak of something. So Ketu is bringing that. Ketu is literally bringing in his case. And one more thing, Ketu is also legacy. The thing which you leave behind so that people can remember you. That is Ketu. So Ketu, he left a legacy behind him. People remember him with certain things in mind. People remember him as a visionary, as a person who worked and created and brought modern technology into this world. Huh? So why? Because of this conjunction happening on 5th and 11th axis. And one more thing, they are sitting in Gemini. Gemini is communication. 11th house is very important for IT. 3rd, 9th and 11th house, Mars, Saturn, Venus, Mercury, Rahu, and 3rd, 9th and 11th house are the controllers of IT, electronics, networking and communications. And Saturn exalted here, Jupiter, Ketu here, Rahu, Venus in mutual aspect on 11th axis, Mars, 9th lord in the 9th house in mutual aspect with Saturn. It makes very good combination. And one more thing which you have to point out, Mercury retrograde. Since Mercury is retrograde, it will give partial results from 5th house. The moment it will give partial results from 5th house, Venus, Mercury, Rahu in relation with each other. Excellent combination for all the things which we discussed so far. So everything he became in Ketu Dasha. Ketu Dasha started from, and before Ketu, and he was also really into spirituality. The reason is Moon, born into Jupiter's day. He is born on a Thursday. Jupiter is
Thursday. Yes.
Jupiter is religion, spirituality.
In its own nakshatra. In its own nakshatra.
And Moon, which is the controller of your mind, it is sitting in Jupiter's Rashi. That too in 8th house, which is the Moksha Trikona. And it is 12th lord. 12th house and 8th house are spiritual life, renunciation, all these things. So that happened in Ketu Dasha also. But before Ketu, Mercury Dasha, Ketu Dasha, last phase of Mercury Dasha and Ketu Dasha. And then when in 76 he started this Apple, there was no looking back. But in 85, when Venus Dasha was going on, he got ousted from Apple. And he came back. He came back in 97, he came back. In Venus Dasha only he came back, because Venus Dasha from 82 to 2002. So he came back in Venus Saturn. In 97, he came back to Apple. And from then we know that all the new generation iPods and Apple iPhones and everything, they came during that Venus Saturn period. Now see that Venus Saturn, Venus is 10th lord, Saturn is exalted, 7th house is business. 3rd and 5th house are very, very powerful. 3rd house is speech, communication, IT. 5th house is same thing, design, beauty, arts, creativity, marketing, all those things, innovation. So that became very powerful in Venus Saturn, then Venus Mercury and everything. But one thing which I want to point out here is that Venus is bad for personal life, for his health and for his relationship, because 5th house is relationships, 5th house is children, 5th house is education, and 5th house is also your health. It controls pancreas. He died of pancreatic cancer. He died of pancreatic cancer. And who controls pancreas? Venus controls pancreas. Venus is with Rahu, aspected by Saturn, which is Saturn and Rahu both are malefics for Leo. Saturn, Sun, which is the lord of Lagna, going in a malefic sign. It is not good for his health. So for health, it is bad. We see one more chart also, but that is, I'm not going to discuss that for health. But in general, if you see, Venus is a contributor to health problems. And he suffered through the ailment of Venus. He passed away because of that. Another point, 5th house is relationships and children. He had a daughter from his relationship early in life, but he didn't gave her his name. Later on he gave, but initially he did not accepted her. That is also 5th house is children. Rahu is outcast. Rahu is people who are born in unconventional way. That is Rahu. So, and one more thing, who is 5th lord? Jupiter. It is sitting with Ketu. Rahu's influence will be there because Rahu and Ketu are in nakshatra parivartan. So unconventional means your relationship with the children will be distant. some people, children can be born outside marriage, and they can create problems, or your relationship with them won't be good. So that was the trouble in his case. In later on, he accepted and everything and gave his name and everything, but it was a trouble. Relationship didn't work out because of Venus Rahu. Same thing. So Venus is hampering the personal life, the health part, the children part, the relationship part. And Venus is making a combination for spiritual life. So because of Rahu in Mula Nakshatra, Jupiter Ketu is also making spiritual combination. So no matter he lived a life in a technological world surrounded by materialist, but the point I'm making here is that it is still forces the person to follow the spiritual path. If they are not following, they will still create some kind of setbacks in life, and those setbacks will be in terms of personal losses, and that has happened in his case. Okay, so that was the case of Steve Jobs, and I said about Ketu and Venus Dasha, where they were tremendously active. Yeah, so now I think you will have to
Before,
another share.
yeah, before we move to the next chart, you're done, right? You're done
I'm
on
done.
him?
Yes.
Yeah, one last point that he was, when he came to India, he was attracted to Neem Karoli Babaji,
Yes.
who was worshipped as the incarnation of Lord Hanuman.
Yes.
And in the ninth house of devotion, he has a strong Mars.
Mars and Saturn, mutual aspect.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, okay, sir. So now, sir, moving ahead. So, okay, share screen. Mm. Yes, sir. So, sir, now we will share with our audience the chart of Rajiv Gandhi. Now, this chart is also very intriguing, where pertaining to the contribution coming in from Rahu Ketu, we can get to know a lot which happened in his life. Ascension to power happened in a very sudden way, and the way his life ended, everything in some way or other way, Rahu and Ketu have their contribution. And just before the start of the call only, when you were discussing his chart, you actually gave me some very strong insight. So a few tidbits from my end. So definitely, I'll straight away go to the watch points. So now the watch points of his details are born with birth date to like August 20. So from numerology, it's the Mulank is the of number 2 vibration, and the life path. If you will make a sum total of the complete date of birth, you will get number 1. So sun and moon luminary influence you can definitely see over here. Now from the Panchang, born on the Shukla Dvitiya, being ruled controlled by the Brahma, the creator, born on a Purva Falguni nakshatra, which is ruled by Venus, and born on a Sunday, Ravivar. Yoga was Shiva, and Karan was Balav. So they both are, all of them are considered as very auspicious, very regal, something to do with aristocracy, something to do with that royalty. Now, even if you will look at his nakshatras, so definitely he has got sun placed right over there in his first house. But see how much is the prominence of the Magha nakshatra, Uttara Falguni nakshatra, Uttara Falguni nakshatra, Magha nakshatra. So all these are the nakshatras which are generally considered as very good, very strong for prominence, for recognition, royalty, ascension. We can see all of that. So now coming to the points which I mentioned for his chart are, moon is very tightly conjunct with its nakshatra lord Venus. So moon is placed in the Purva Falguni nakshatra, and the lord of that Venus, moon is very tightly conjunct with it. And generally what happens is that if you have any planet which are so tightly conjunct, you will see the repetition taking place in majority of the divisional charts as well. Correct. So in his case, the moon is strongly imbibing and acquiring all the qualities of the Venus. So yes, moon is very tightly conjunct with its nakshatra lord Venus, infusing aristocratic persona and a very pleasing personality. Now we have to focus on our today's discussion about the Rahu and Ketu axis. So he has Rahu.
One more point I would like to add here, just before you move on. Moon is also mother, and his mother was Indira Gandhi, Prime Minister of India, and she was
Yes.
Iron Lady, the most powerful position which you can get. So moon
Yes.
is mother, and like we were discussing the Purva Janma Karma, he is also born like Donald Trump into a big, wealthy, powerful family, coming from
Yes.
the royal lineage, that kind of thing. So grandfather Pandit Nehru and mother Indira Gandhi, and born into that family of politicians. So if you see fifth lord and ninth lord, means fifth house is Purva Janma Karma. So fifth lord
Yeah.
is Jupiter in the ascendant, well placed, and with sun and moon. So sun is father, moon is mother, lagna is you, and Jupiter and Mercury, they are making strong Dhan Yoga, Raj Yoga, as well as Saraswati Yoga in the lagna. So they show
Lagna,
that
yeah.
if you will be born, and one more thing, Mercury second and 11th lord, which is money, wealth, power, family. So you will be born into a good family, into a reputed, powerful family, and mainly who will be powerful? Mother will be powerful because of moon placement.
And Abhijit, if you will even give attention to his chart, so no matter how pleasing, how aristocratic, how mellifluous this person is, but you see that how he is strongly guarded by the malefic planets surrounding him. So
Correct,
if you
correct.
see his ascendant, all the well placed planets, but Mars,
Papanatri.
Mars on one end, Rahu on one end, Saturn
Saturn
on this
aspect.
end, Ketu with them. So we mean to say the ascendant, he himself is a can fairly and confidently say this thing that the much pleasing and soft he is, but responsibilities, vicissitudes, circumstances put him in such a kind
Such
of
a
a place
situation.
where he
Yes.
never wanted to be on the first
Correct,
place.
correct, correct, correct.
Okay, so yeah, Rahu is in the Cancer sign, depicting heavy burden of karma acquired from mother. He never wanted to become the prime minister, and this was something which was, I guess, his one of his chief secretary and all. He when they revealed this to him, he was like taken into the corner, and he was not even willing, and just he was convinced, or this thing was imposed on him when that situation when Indira Gandhi got
It was
assassinated.
also because his brother already passed away.
Yeah,
His brother was in line to become the next chief of the party and the forefront of the Indian politics, but he passed away before Indira Gandhi herself. So there was no alternative. Nobody left in Gandhi family back then who can hold on to as a face of the party. So he had to come. That is what you said, that there is no choice. You have to do it.
good. And that's what I've generally seen is that Rahu being in Cancer, Rahu being in Scorpio, and if this combination is taking place, like Rahu Cancer, Rahu Scorpio in the 12th house or in the 8th house, it becomes very dangerous. Becomes very dangerous. So yes, Ketu in Capricorn generally represents imposition of power in adverse circumstances, which you can see over here. Along with that, okay, now I'll not look at this, and just a brief idea about his palm. So now, as you can see, looking at his personality and all. So first of all, the way I always mention this thing that whenever we have to start the analysis, we have to give attention to the three major lines. Now, see if you will see over here, briefly over here, his headline is very well placed. So I'm not seeing any affliction to his headline. The concern over it is that in his lifeline, you can see a very big island. You can see this very big island.
Correct.
And in the lines, the islands are not considered as very good. So this is a timeline or something where we say this thing that it's like when the in these kind of situations, see, I'll tell you, Abhijit, over here, not only this chart, but there are like couple of combinations in palmistry. One combination is if you will find that the heartline, headline, lifeline, they all are getting meeting at one point because heartline is supposed to curve towards the top, right? But in certain cases, it has been written in the Samudrik Shastra, in all the major books of palmistry, Hasta Sanjeevanam, that if you will find any of the one, like all the lines meeting at one point over here, that generally tells about some death from some sudden accident. Now, again, over here, I want to, I do not want to alarm my audience who are watching this video. It's not like that you're going to have premature death. It's like whatsoever age and longevity is there promised in your chart, but when it will happen in a very sudden way.
Correct.
So that is how we say this thing. And yes, you can fairly see this very big island in the lifeline. This is a very alarming sign. So if I were to summarize, definitely in his palm, if you will give attention, his mount of Jupiter, his mount of Sun, this is the finger of the Sun. His mount of Sun, his mount of Jupiter is very prominent. His thumb is also very strong. That definitely tells about strong willpower, strong determination beyond doubt. That sort of refineness in your personality. But yes, the the big island in the lifeline generally tells about, see, because the way his life got ended, it was like there was like it was a very sad, tragic end to a life. So I mean to say that when you have these kind of big islanded lifeline, that tells about that some sort of anathema, some sort of curse. Like I have even seen this kind of competition in certain cases where the guy has done everything good in his life, but he just in a fit of rage, he did one wrong step and he has got this stigma throughout the life.
Correct.
So that's the combination we generally see from over here. Apart from that, whatever I can make out from this combination only, the mount of Ketu seems to be prominent, Jupiter and Sun seems to be prominent, heart line is fine, headline tells about someone who has got very deep intellectual bent of mind. We say this thing that Congress claims that he was the one who first bring computers or IT, like computers, mainly to India. This guy who was responsible for that, and he was very what do you call that, very modern kind of
Correct.
a person who wanted to reform so many things which were lacking in India. So yes, the inner mount of Mars is also very well placed. Inner mount of Mars, which is a domain of determination, willpower. Venus beyond doubt is prominent. Outer Mars. So Mars in his case is also dignified. The only concern is that one very strong island in the lifeline, which tells about some anathema curse and the way his life, the tragic end of his life, and that too happened while doing something which on the first place he never wanted to do. So he was happy,
And
living
if
his
you
life
look at his island, it is falling on the zone of Rahu itself.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, it's very
So it
close to
is
that. Yes,
falling in the
yes.
zone of Rahu on the palm, and
Rahu.
he died in
Yeah.
Rahu Dasha. He died in Rahu Mercury period. In
Period. Yes.
1991, he was assassinated in a bomb blast, and Rahu Mercury period was running. And for Leo ascendant, if you see that Rahu is a malefic, it is in 12th house of death, 12th house of
Death.
going away from this world.
Explosion, deaths. Yes,
Correct.
yes,
And
yes.
Rahu is sitting there, and people who will see that in his chart, Lagna is very powerful. So why he had a short life? Because in his case, there is a concept known as Panchanga dosha. He's born on a Sunday, and he's born.
No, wait, Abhijit. I'll stop my screen. I will pass it over to you because I'm done over here. Yes.
Yeah. I will just because I'm just mentioning this case because I have to discuss the case of Indira Gandhi, his mother.
Yeah.
But what I'm just mentioning, I'll just share my screen so that people can understand what I'm.
Yeah, because the way you mentioned that yoga, so it looks like something very important. So yeah.
Just let me see. Rajiv Gandhi. This is his chart. If you see now in his case, obviously I discussed the Purva Janma Karma and the heavy influence of mother and everything. But if you see, he's born on a Sunday. Born on a Sunday and born on a Dvitiya Tithi. Dvitiya is ruled by moon. Moon and sun are together. And moon and sun are together. Understand that sun and moon are together. Whenever Panchanga dosha happens, it makes a combination that either the planet will help for your health, life, and longevity, or it will help for your marriage. It cannot help in both the areas. It has to choose one of them. That is why it is known as a dosha. So in this case, sun and moon are together. Sun is Varesh, Lagnesh. Varesh and Lagnesh are means the weekday lord in which the person is born. That controls your health, life, and longevity, your physical body. And moon, which is the Dvitiya lord, controller of your marriage and relationships. They both are together. Now, at one glance, you will see that okay, yeah, this here sun is powerful. Okay, so it might support for what? Health and life.
Life, long life, yeah.
Long life, but it won't because in this case he has Vargottam Lagna. He has Vargottam Lagna. So Leo ascendant here, both of them. Okay. Another point which you have to look at is that sun is in Nakshatra Parivartan with Ketu. That is why it weakens because sun is in Magha, Ketu is in Uttarashada. Ketu and sun are in Nakshatra Parivartan. And moon, if you see, you have to see the nakshatras. That is why it matters. It's not like always. And in Navamsha, if you will see, sun is in Taurus, where Lord of Taurus is Venus, which is debilitated. So sun technically does not gain strength because the nakshatra lord here is going in 6th house. Further, like you mentioned, Papa Kartari, Mars and Rahu hemming the Lagna, Saturn looking at the Lagna. In Navamsha also, Saturn, Rahu on the ascendant, Mars aspect on the ascendant. Sun in the sign of Venus, which is the enemy sign, but Venus is debilitated. So this makes a combination where it does not support the body too much. It won't give him health issues, but it will take away the life all of a sudden. And another point here, if you will see, influence of 6th, 8th, and 12th house upon the Lagna. 6th Lord Saturn looking at the ascendant, 11th, 8th Lord Jupiter in conjunction with Sun, 12th Lord Moon in conjunction with Sun. 6th, 8th, and 12th house are Dusthana houses. If they are present in the Lagna, they are going to create problems to you. So Sun is not giving him some chronic diseases or ailments. Sun is taking away the life all of a sudden. Why? Because of Ketu Nakshatra Parivartan. Ketu is, who is blast? Who is explosion? Mars and Ketu, not Rahu. Rahu can show that. But Ketu, excessive violence is governed by Ketu. We say
Yes,
Mars.
yes, yes,
Mars
yes.
is
Extremism.
Mars is nothing. Mars is like a child in front of Ketu.
Ketu,
When it comes
yes,
to violence,
yes.
Mars
Very
is
good, very
literally
good.
nothing. When we say nuclear weapons, when we say mass destruction, when we say genocide, when we say all of a sudden death, blasted into pieces,
Wiped out the whole
wiped out
city.
all of a sudden, that is Ketu, not Rahu. So in his
Yes,
case,
yes.
Ketu's influence is tremendous, and that is why when Rahu Dasha started, I said, no, Rahu and Ketu will give results parallelly. So Rahu is already a malefic. Rahu is here also in Navamsha and Birth, it is malefic. So Rahu made him enter into politics out of force. He didn't want to, but he had to. So Rahu forced him. Rahu in Rahu Mahadasha, Indira Gandhi died. His mother, because Rahu is in Cancer. Cancer is moon. Moon is mother, and Rahu is looking at fourth house also. But keeping it that aside, that he passed away in Rahu Dasha. So this was the point I'm making, that in this case, that the yogas, they are showing that how Rahu Ketu are influencing in his case. Okay, that you have to look closely. And now if you just see the case of his
Wait,
mother.
I just wanted to Abhijit say one thing over here in Rajiv Gandhi's chart, that if you will look at his D9 chart, you will definitely see lot many qualities of a foreign spouse
Correct,
of
correct,
Sonia
correct,
Gandhi ji.
correct, correct,
And you
correct.
know one more thing, I was watching this interview of Prashant Kishore when it was asked him that in the Gandhi family, like right now Rahul Gandhi, Priyanka Gandhi, Sonia Gandhi, who will you say that you have worked closely with so many political families?
Sonia
Who has got
Gandhi.
strong political acumen? He said
Sonia
Sonia
Gandhi.
Gandhi ji has got the strongest political acumen
Correct, correct.
amongst all of them.
Huh.
And see the D9 chart of Rajiv Gandhi.
And not only the D9, you look at, he's born in Dutiya, the controller of Tithi is Moon. Moon is 12th Lord. 12th house is foreign countries. So wife will be from foreign countries. 12th Lord
Yeah,
in
it's in
birth
the
chart,
D9 chart.
and
Jupiter
12th Lord in
exalted.
Navamsha. And Venus also. Venus is what? Venus is wife. Venus is with 12th Lord. Tithi Lord is 12th Lord. So it means that foreign connection will be there with the wife.
Yeah.
So that
And
is
the thing is how potent and powerful the spouse is going to be.
correct. That will obviously be there. But if you see that in that, you have to check the chart of Sonia Gandhi ji. But in
Yeah.
this case, if you just look at that, what I explained, that why Rahu acted in his case the way it was. So from 81 to 99, Rahu was there. Brother passed away in Rahu, mother passed away in Rahu, and he passed away in Rahu. All the family was destroyed in Rahu, because Rahu is in Cancer. Cancer is what? Family also, not just you. Family. Fourth house. Fourth house. It is impacting the family itself. And another point, if you have to look at why Rahu is very negative, because Rahu is in Nakshatra Parivartan with Saturn. Rahu and Saturn are in each other's nakshatras. Here they are in mutual aspect. That's why double malefic dasha. Rahu is very negative in this case. So if you just see, now just see his mother's case. She got assassinated. Indira Gandhi got assassinated on 31st October 1984 in Saturn Rahu Dasha. Saturn Rahu Dasha, she got assassinated. So Saturn Rahu period, Saturn Rahu, Indira Gandhi was killed. And Cancer Lagna, Saturn in the Lagna, Rahu in 6th house. And same you see, Steve Jobs combination. Venus Rahu together, but Rahu Ketu in Nakshatra Parivartan. They are again in Nakshatra Parivartan. So she also got, and one more thing, Saturn and Rahu are both 8th Lord. 8th house is death. 8th house is, and that too sudden death, because Rahu is suddenness. So she got killed by her bodyguards. So Saturn Rahu killed Indira Gandhi. And same thing happened with Rahu aspect in Rajiv Gandhi's case. So you can understand from both mother's chart and son's chart that how Rahu and Ketu are playing their roles in their cases. Obviously, in her case, Rahu is very beautiful for politics, because 6th house Rahu is excellent for winning over enemies. Excellent, no matter what. If Rahu is well placed and Lagna is strong, you will always win over enemies. Even in the situations where people don't even think that you have a chance, still you will win. that is a good combination. So Venus Rahu Jupiter, because Jupiter and Venus are in Parivartan. So she got into power, like she became first time prime minister in Jupiter Dasha and everything. I'm not going to get into that. But what I'm mentioning is that Venus Rahu is bad for what? Health, for life, for family, for marriage. Huh? And for career, it was excellent. For politics, it was good. Huh? So Rahu Dasha, Saturn Rahu period, and she imposed emergency also in Saturn Dasha itself. Huh? The only period which we saw so far, the emergency declared in 75. So she did that in Saturn Dasha. And the moment she did, because Saturn is democracy. If you are going to act against democracy, people are going to throw you away from power. She had to face the loss in election then. But this was just a point to indicate that how Rahu manifested in both mother's case as well as son's case.
So, shall I move to the next chart?
You can move to the next chart. Yeah.
So next chart is of a guy who literally gave me goosebumps. When I was even looking at his picture, when I was studying his chart, I was like, whoa, man, is this real? Is this real? Okay, now see, the thing is, I'll tell you, Abhijit, okay, I'll tell you a little bit about myself as well. In my case, my ascendant nakshatra is Ashwini. My moon nakshatra is Sadbisha. They both have got something to do with the healing. My ascendant lord is also strengthened in the 8th house. And even before coming to astrology, lot many times it used to happen that I don't know, from nowhere people will come to me and they'll start telling their problem to me. And lot many times, when they tell me this thing that okay, when we talk to you, you feel relieved. A lot many times it happened like I'm waiting for a bus going to college and this guy came from nowhere. He's like very aged and it's like, oh, I think my wife has done something to me, this and that. It's like, sir, why do you have to worry? You can even recite any of the Lord Shiva mantra. Mahamrityunjaya mantra is very good. But son, I do not know about Mahamrityunjaya mantra. Okay, sir, I'll give you my in page. I'm like taking my school note, college notebook and writing and giving Mahamrityunjaya mantra. So the thing is, okay, see, it's okay. That's one thing. When your aura has got something to do with healing, that attracts people. Okay, that's what your energy and your aura is. Now, how you utilize that? Are you gonna become a healer and a saint and a very wise someone like Shri Shri Ravi Shankar ji or like Sadhguru? Are you gonna manipulate those who are coming to you in dire need, when they need the guidance, they need the help, they need something of some spiritual merit from you? So now why I mention all this thing, because in this case of Charles Manson, you will definitely see when we talk about whatsoever the way he was commanding authority over a small group, he was running a small cult and where people used to follow him. His whole life has been in and out, from like even as a minor, for committing petty crimes and theft and all. But later on in life, he gained loyalty of a small set of people whom he radicalized into doing crimes. Now, like the way, Abhijit, if you have watched all these kind of crime shows where the crime has been committed in this way, that okay, it's not about that the guy was had some ill intentions of masquerading or amassing money or committing some crime to make himself wealthy. They're like those people who are like, there is a term in Christianity and in the West of demonic presence. Like I heard some demonic whispers and I committed this crime. Like all those psychotic and psychosis kind of cases where they like have, like, this could be bipolar disorder, this could be ADHD, this could be schizophrenia, this could be anything. Now, so what I'm trying to say over here is that 2 points which defines this guy. He definitely has something to do with which attracts sufferer, where people are going through troubles, problems, and something. Now, people, those come to him, and how he utilized that opportunity to heal or to take advantage, that we'll get to know. So, okay, in his case, Charles Manson, definitely American criminal and cult leader, born on November 12th, 1934. This. Now, looking at his chart, I'll come over here. Now, the watch points of his chart. Born with birth date number 3, which is of Jupiter, and life path of number 4, which is of Rahu. So understand this thing. When we say the Moolank and the Bhagyank, so your birth date vibration tells about your aura, your persona, your characteristics. And life path number tells about the path you will trade in this life. So the aura personality still has little bit of the Jupiter attached to it, But when we talk about the path which he will tread, we definitely have the flavors of the Rahu. He was born on the Shukla Saptami, commanding and authoritative nature, which comes from the Shukla Saptami birth. Shravan Nakshatra, so moon is strengthened in its own nakshatra. So somehow healing touch to the persona. Born on a Monday, Somvar. Yoga was Ganda, which is generally the Gand yoga is considered as very illusionary, and the born in the Karan of the Gar, which is considered as very poisonous. Now, even if you will look at his chart, see, it's like I was so startled looking at his chart, like even I was getting scared looking at his picture, looking at his chart. You see how demonic that, like those people who get the demonic whisper and they radicalize the people. Thank God during that time there was no social media. There was not that time period of social media and all. Otherwise, he would have commanded the loyalty of so many of the more people, and he would have, kind of radicalized them into doing something very obnoxious. So his moon is surrounded by Saturn and Rahu. But the way you can see that his moon and Rahu degrees, his moon is 11 degree, his Rahu is also 11 degree. So that means moon is heavily influenced by a negative and a very potent and strong Rahu. So
Correct.
now talking about over here. So moon and Rahu are conjunct at same degrees along with Saturn is a typical cursed combination which will reflect in your actions and public image. It's a combination of notorious fame. So like the way we say that Ted Bundy and all. So they're like those people who are known for good reasons, and they're like those people who are known for their notoriety. They're known for being notorious. Now, coming to another point, with your birth date number 3, Lagan in Ashwini Nakshatra, Cancer in Navamsa rising, and Monday Shravana combination, you will easily attract people going through suffering and in dire need of help and healing. That's how the trap will start. After that, the second point is that Rahu's nakshatra lord, Shravan and Moon, Shravan and Moon, wait, what I'm saying, yeah. And Ketu's nakshatra lord, Pushya Saturn, both are forming the cursed yoga in 10th house of actions and public image. Ketu, if afflicted in 4th house, holds this possibility of making someone merciless and brutal, being devoid of senses. Now, we all know this thing that, all those people who get caught, like all the doctors who are like doing the illegal trafficking of the
Correct.
human organs, and those kind of merciless actions, that generally Ketu only holds his capacity to grant you all of that. So in his case, we can see, and yes, I guess that's the only because only after, and I guess, yeah, I missed something. Yeah, I missed the Navamsa. Wait, lost last slide. So now looking at his Navamsa. So Navamsa, which tells about the true intent and pulse of planets. Over there, Moon is completely overshadowed by the illusions of Rahu. Both Rahu Ketu are becoming dangerously strong and harmful in Navamsa. Like the way I mentioned this thing, merciless, you see in the D9 chart, now Ketu is conjunct with Mars. So becoming more powerful, and Moon is strongly conjunct with Rahu. Being Bhav Vargotam means their area of influence will stay the same because the Rashi is getting changed, but they are the Bhav Vargotam, they are in the same Bhav. And Moon plus Rahu in Aries represents whisper and voices of violence, wherein Mars and Ketu in Libra represents brutality majorly caused on females. So there was this famous Hollywood actor, I forgot her name, that actress, whom his followers, they killed, they went to her
Sharon
house.
Tate.
Sharon Tate, yeah. And I guess in that recent movie, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, I guess they also, there have been lot many movies made on this guy. So yes, I guess, yeah, that's all what I have to say. But yeah, looking at his chart, all what I can say is that these are among those people, and it's not only, he's not one of his kind. There have been those kind of people out there in the world who make use of these religious and spiritual rope in order to kind of abuse people's emotions and take advantage of them in different forms. It's not only from the monetary point of view or from a sexual point of view, but from the violence point of view as well. So yes, Abhijeet, that's all what I have to say for him. I'll just stop sharing my screen. Yes, sir.
See, now we are going to talk about this Manson guy. So if you just see, first of all, you have explained quite a lot of things here, but point I want to make is specifically he his childhood was really bad, and
Yes.
mainly he suffered a lot of problems from his family. He never knew his biological father. His mother was a chronic alcoholic and a criminal. She was arrested for many attempts of robbery, she and grand larceny as well. So which was,
Yes.
so the thing was that mother was a alcoholic, mother was into a lot of toxic relationships, was toxic herself, as well as was never around while he was growing up. She was never around. She was always under the influence of alcohol. And so if you see moon, Saturn, Rahu, so why I'm saying that this combination is very negative in his case, the reason, I'll tell you the reasons. First, he's born on a Monday, Varesh. Moon is your mind, but if it becomes your Varesh, it controls every aspect of your personality. Okay. And again, he has Panchanga dosha. Panchanga dosha means born in Saptami Tithi. So he is born on a Monday, ruled by Moon. Moon is controller of mind naturally for everybody, but in his case, Moon governs his personality, his health, his well-being, everything. And Tithi Lord is Saturn. Saturn is Saptami, Lord of Saptami. Both are together. And if both are together, whenever moon, and here moon is bad, so moon will show that there is a disruption in personality and mindset, very bad, because whenever, if you are born in a Monday and moon is in relation with Jupiter or Rahu, it makes a graha dosha, it makes a strong graha dosha. Here moon is in close conjunction with Rahu, extremely close conjunction, and here it is a lunar eclipse where Rahu is ahead of moon, moon is behind Rahu. It is just the opposite case of Donald Trump. Trump had eclipse, but in his case, moon and sun were farther away from Rahu Ketu, not behind. In his case, moon is behind Rahu, so it is a strong eclipse. Second, born on a Monday, moon is making a strong graha dosha by in conjunction with Rahu in birth chart as well as in Navamsha. And in Navamsha, moon again becomes the ascendant lord. Ascendant is controller of your mind, personality, health, everything. Now moon is literally your mind, so his mind is like it's like you said, right, it's like a psychotic mind, a lot of problems going on. It's like uh, you're born with defect in mind. That is the problem. So in his case, Saturn, Rahu, moon, they are together. Now what is moon? Moon is also the fourth lord, fourth house is mother, moon is mother, so it will show that trauma will also be there from childhood and mother as well. So as I said, mother was never around. He had a really bad childhood. And from the age of 9, he entered into troubles. He set his school on fire at the age of 9. Just understand. So later on, he went on to create a lot of problems and imprisonment happened. And but the main factor, all the things culminated when the Manson family murders happened. That was the main point when people came to know about this guy. But what I'm mentioning is that the that was the culmination of something going on behind the scenes for many years. Okay, so moon is fourth lord, fourth house is your peace of mind. Also, there is no peace of mind. He and the mother part, the childhood part, he never knew his father. Sun is debilitated, that too in seventh house with aspect of Saturn. Sun is father, ninth house is father, ninth lord is in Rahu's nakshatra, Jupiter, and that too in seventh house. Sun and Jupiter, they are not considered good. Sun and Jupiter in seventh house, they lose their strength. Jupiter is Digbali in first house, not seventh house. Sun is setting, the sunset happens when Sun is in seventh. So Sun is not strong. The same thing happened. Father was never around. He never knew his biological father at all. So parents, you just can imagine how the problems are started right from the birth. Next point is that, like you said rightly, that Saturn, Moon, and Rahu, they make a person quite eccentric, delusional, psychotic, a person who, and since he is born in Ketu's nakshatra, now see, Rahu and Ketu, we have to take Ketu also. Now see, Ketu is also bad because the lord of Ketu, who is Ketu's lord? Moon. And moon itself is making bad yogas in the chart. So Ketu will make destructive personality because the Lagna is in Ketu's nakshatra. Mars is the Lagna lord. You don't have to see the Mars, you have to see the Ketu first. So Ketu is the Lagna lord and Ketu is in fourth house. extremely emotionally disturbed, extremely emotionally fragile, extremely emotionally manipulative because of Rahu. And at the same time, who preys on to the people who are weak, and who also preys on to the people who are emotionally fragile and more prone to violence. That is what it is. So in this case, if you see Ketu in fourth alone, and it is the nakshatra lord, as I said, Mars is nothing in front of Ketu when it comes to destruction. So he is having a destructive personality from the start. And he ran Rahu Dasha from 51 to 69. From January 51 to January 69, Rahu Mahadasha was there. All this thing was culminating in Rahu Dasha. And before that also, his first, I said, in Mars Dasha itself, like 9 or 10 years of age, Mars was not a good Dasha. Mars, he was having a lot of troubles at school. And one more thing, which I forgot. I think he was also molested and sexually abused many times when he was in school. So moon gives, remember, I am just discussing in his case, whenever moon is damaged, influenced by Ketu, Mars, Rahu, it makes a combination for abuse. Moon is damaged by Rahu, Saturn, Ketu. Mars is the ascendant lord. Mars is not going to protect too much, because you are running sorry, you are influenced by Rahu, moon more, because you are born on a Monday. That's why. So and same thing happening in Navamsha. Moon again afflicted by Rahu, Mars, Ketu, fourth house. Same thing. So what happens? It makes a combination for abuse. He was abused many times. He used to bunk schools and everything because of this. But remember, I am not saying that there were certain traumas, certain things which happened later in life, which further escalated and triggered these problems which he had. But what one point of clarification which I want to make, that people who think that this trauma and everything was only the case which was responsible for this kind of behavior, the answer is no. He is born with innate tendencies of these mental disturbances. Even if, let's suppose, he would not have been abused, even if, let's suppose, he would not have had problems with the mother, still this conjunction had created the similar results. So in this case, it's like one thing added on to another thing, and it further made the problem so big, so irreversible, so incurable, that nothing could be done about it. It's like I am set on a path of destruction for myself and all the people around me. That is how it is. And another point, he used to, like you main point, which was when he served imprisonment for quite a lot of times, but majorly the main point was when he and his cult members committed the murders, 9 murders at least, which were what you can say, convicted by the court. But later on, some people says that he admitted for 35 murders in total in his life. We don't know about that. But point I'm making is that 9 are there, recorded murders which have been committed by his followers upon his what you can say or permission or whatever orders. And he was himself also responsible for several murders and other crimes in his life. And he also used to take drugs, a lot of drugs. That is Moon, Rahu, Saturn. He used to control his followers through those things, because what is psychedelic? LSD. Rahu is chemicals. Rahu is all intoxication. So he used to do that. So that is happening now. That is why I say, don't get confused just by the placement of the planets, like, yeah, this is a good chart. No, it is not a good chart. You have to start with the basics. That is why he pointed out on the Panchanga first. If you just see the overall superficial view, you will see that, okay, moon is damaged, but not to an extent of this problem. So it is another thing. All the crimes, major murders that happened, they happened between 68 to 71, mainly 68, 69, but till 71 he was convicted, sent to jail permanently. So in Rahu last dasha, means Rahu Mars period, Rahu Mars, it started, and he started forming his cult particularly from 64, mainly from 64. So
Yeah.
Rahu, he
Cult is
started
also fifth house is like children. Cult is his
children.
children like
Correct,
followers.
correct, correct,
Followers.
correct. Followers. So he was, see, Venus, Mercury, Jupiter are giving him ability to communicate and manipulate and use people, and those things are
Yes.
there.
Yes.
That is present. But if you see for what purposes, negative purposes,
Yes.
that is the intention. Intention is your moon. Intention is bad. Next point, it all happened in Rahu Dasha. So Rahu, it's like Rahu is going to create it's like problem at its peak. Rahu is going to disturb your mind to the extreme levels. So he is experiencing himself so much problems on a mental scale, and he is passing on to the so-called children of himself as well. They were also of same category. I have certain charts of his followers also. One was Atkins. She murdered many people. So I have her chart, I think. But point I am making here is that just see Rahu Mars Dasha. He started all his murders. Those serial murders which started to happen. They started from Rahu Mars. It went into Jupiter. Rahu, Mars, Jupiter, and Jupiter is again what? Jupiter is your children. Jupiter is your guru, and Jupiter is your children both. So Jupiter is ninth lord and fifth lord together, Sun and Jupiter. But understand, Jupiter is not good because Jupiter is in Rahu's nakshatra. It is in Rahu's nakshatra. So if you see Rahu is making Graha dosha very bad with moon. So how can you help? How can you find that Jupiter is going to help you? And rather, Jupiter can show that he had very strong fanatic religious beliefs. He had who is religious beliefs? Jupiter, and a religion and a lot of fanatic religious beliefs, where he used to think that okay, the black minority is going to take over and white supremacy is going to end, and I have to save it. All those kind of stupid thoughts. That is all Rahu bringing unnecessary imagination, but
Unnecessary
imagination
whispers.
based upon
Whispers.
what?
Yeah.
Based upon religion, based upon Jupiter, based upon ethnicity, based upon culture. That is happening. So Jupiter, it happened, but it started in Rahu Mars, and finally he got caught and everything. We know after that what happened. But he and his followers all were convicted, thrown into jail for permanent lifetime. He died also. Already he's passed away. But just understand that why Rahu and Ketu are impacting in his case in a very bad way. So you just, when you closely monitor, then you understand. Let's suppose he would not have been born into moon Monday, some other day. Let's suppose he would born on Tuesday, one day after that. Mars would have been the varish. Okay.
Punish. Yes.
So the
Yes.
situation would not have been so dire,
Yeah.
so bad. It would have created depression. It would have created problems with mother, problems to mother. But Mars is a fighter. Mars never loses hope. Rahu is hopelessness. Rahu is like, I have suffered so much that I now am on a path of destruction as well as revenge. That is Rahu.
Yes.
So in this case, Moon is making Graha dosha, Saturn, Rahu together. In Navamsha, the same thing is repeating. You have to see the
Yes.
Navamsha also. So
Mm.
you when you look closely, just by the Varish, you come to the point of understanding of why this thing is happening in this case. Otherwise, if you don't know this concept, what will happen? People will assume that okay, you might face moon problems, of course, problems with mother, mental health, and all those things. But to a scale of this madness, this scale of criminality, this scale of psychosis, how can you judge? That is what I want to point here. That
Abhijit, that was a similar case of the Robin Williams as well, who committed suicide. And if you'll watch any of the biographies which has been made on his life,
ah,
he suffered from the episode of depression, and at then he used to say that my head is bursting in pieces because of that thoughts which I'm not able to control.
correct.
That all typical Sadhbisha means Rahu. In
Rahu,
short, Rahu.
Rahu. See, Rahu and Moon is a difficult conjunction. Of course, Rahu, Moon, Rahu,
Yes.
Rahu, or Moon, Ketu. But what I'm mentioning is that if you take his case, he was very loved by people. He's still loved, and
Yes. Yes.
he made people contributed to his
Laugh.
art. He
Art.
made people
Yes.
laugh, even though he is living a very sad life from on his
In a
personal
personal life,
side.
yes.
But the point I'm making is that he is not inherently evil. In his
Yes.
case, the evilness which I am talking about, that is coming, and that is the source where you have to deduce. I am just showing it through a chart, so that the viewers can understand that why this is happening. Okay, not just by the superficial scale that okay, the Lagna Lord looks good and everything. You don't have to go that way. I have not taken Lagna Lord into consideration at all. I have just taken a moon in consideration totally. So just understand from that perspective that okay, this is how a person can be, this is how they can. And then the dasha also matters na, because let's suppose he would not have ran through Rahu dasha, he would have ran through some other dasha. The impact would have been there, no doubt, but not to that drastic extent.
Yes,
Huh?
yes,
Huh?
yes,
So Rahu
yes.
dasha 18 year, you are running through the Rahu dasha of full madness. It is like full on
Taking bomb, taking
taking,
bomb, yeah.
correct. So that is the problem. And then Jupiter dasha, then Saturn dasha. So in Saturn dasha, same thing. He was incarcerated, no doubt, but he made a mess in prison also. So that is the problem with and same thing. Since his Panchanga dosha is happening, so it is bad for health, and another thing, it is bad for marriage and family, because Saturn is not good. Saturn looks good, but it is not, it is afflicted by Rahu. So same thing happens, that many relationships, many things, he used to, all the cult members which were there, most of them were women, and they were living all together with him, and he had a lot of sexual relations with everybody. So that is Saturn Rahu. By no commitment, no loyalty, nothing,
See,
everything
seventh
is
house
bad.
of relationship, you see how many planets are there. See, seventh house, right?
Seventh house, but see, seventh house has Jupiter, and people might confuse that okay, Jupiter is a good planet. It is not. I already explained it is not. And you have to see
Yeah.
that Saturn and Rahu together. It is known as Shrapit Yoga also.
Shrapit Yoga. Yes, cursed
Cursed
yoga,
yoga.
yes.
Huh? And uh, so this is how you have to just see. So from my point of view, I just explained, because this, as you mentioned, this is a very curious, interesting case to discuss,
Yes.
because he is in this case, since we are discussing about the mysteries of how Rahu and Ketu function. Okay,
Yes.
so how they are manifesting, we saw that in good charts. We have to see it in the negative chart, because Rahu and Ketu are associated with crimes also.
Yes.
Hmm.
And Abhijit, after this, yeah, and okay, I'll just show one last chart.
Hmm.
You're done, Abhijit, with this
From my
chart?
end, yes, yes, yes.
Okay, I'll just show you one last chart, and then we will summarize it with some commonly seen points
Hmm.
in majority of these discussion.
Hmm.
So the last chart is, see, honestly speaking, I did not have much planned on this last chart, but just because recently it came into news. So this Indian wait, yeah, this Indian model and erotic actress, as what her Wikipedia page says, her only fan, I don't know what is that called. Yeah. So whatever her biography says. So, but the thing is that okay. So for all those Western people who do not know much about this actress, so I will just summarize it. Although the controversy which she created, it was even covered by BBC as well. It got so much widespread. So she first time she came into the public's attention even in India in 2012, I guess, when she made this comment that if India will win the World Cup, I will strip and something. So she hit the headlines and she was overnight popular. And now this time, so what happened? She suddenly we are hearing this news that Poonam Pandey died because of cervical cancer. So everyone was showing their sympathy, and later on we got to know that it was a publicity gimmick to raise awareness for the cervical cancer. And this stunt of hers gave her like global fame. So that only intrigued me, Abhijit. So I just checked her details, definitely from numerology, from astrology, from everything. And I did not know her time of birth, but just because based on her life and her persona, I wanted to put Venus in the eighth house and just make a random assumption. I just wanted to see the nodal axis, because we discussed that we will be making a video on this topic. So I was already looking at charts only from the point of view of Rahu and Ketu only. So she is born on the 11th March 1991. even if you will make a sum total of all these numbers, you will find the energy of the number 7 and number 11. Now, if you will see the axis of the Rahu and Ketu, so you see in the sixth house, Rahu is conjunct with a planet which is placed in its own sign in the Capricorn. And if you will see Jupiter, it is conjunct with Ketu, with an exalted Jupiter in the 12th house. So, briefly, all what I wanted to say in this chart that definitely when we talk about doing something where you have to, in a very short span of time, gain the public attention, or like we say in today's day and age, of going viral. So, Rahu and Ketu and the nodal axis, if it is strengthened and it is well supported by other planets, how easily that becomes possible for you. Now, definitely, there are like lot many morals which are attached over there, but my main intention was that it happened twice in her case that she became a household name because of the controversy she created. Now, definitely, people, the whole, like in India, everyone is divided in two camps. Some people are defending her move, and someone are heavily criticizing her what she did. But my main concern was that the role of Rahu and Ketu in giving someone sudden, stupendous fame, notice, or success, we can definitely see over here. So yes, that was basically which I wanted to show in her chart. So Abhijit, after that, if I were to summarize, there were quite few observations which I made. First of all, in lot many cases which we discussed today, I saw the occurrence of Kalsarp dosha in lot many times. I saw that Rahu and Ketu in all those cases where people became a story of success, or they became a story of wrongdoings in their life. So they were conjunct with very strong planets. So in most of the cases, and yeah, we saw in the case of the Rajiv Gandhi, we saw in the case of the Charles Manson. You take the extreme good cases, you take extreme bad cases, but planets somehow were like, see, at the end of the day, no matter in our Shastra scriptures, Kalsa yoga is not mentioned. But the way it has been mentioned and explained is that Kalsa dosha means all the planets going in the mouth of the serpent, going in the mouth of the Rahu. So that means a person who has got a Kalsa dosha, it means his whole life is going to be very lopsided, very unstable, and Rahu and Ketu are going to be taking the shots, calling the shots. So
Yeah,
yes,
you're right there. But see, Carl Sarp is not the only point. I explained that, like in Charles Manson, Carl Sarp is secondary. You have to see that moon responsible for creating Grah dosha in Lagna and Navamsha. In Trump's chart, I explained the situation. You have to see how the planets are. In his case, Varesh is very good. So I will suggest
Vareshya
for
Punjab,
people, you
yes, yeah.
have to understand from the basics. Start from the Varesh first, then go on the Lagna Lord, Moon, and Sun, how they are, because see, if Rahu and Ketu are influencing your personality, they have to impact the personality parameters first, na? So parameters which are controlling your personality are Lagna Lord, Sun, Moon, and Varesh. If they are not good,
Yes.
and under the bad influence of Rahu and Ketu, you are going to see negative results. You can't escape it. And as I mentioned, Rahu and Ketu have capability to bring past life karma. But past life karma, I told you in several cases that they are bringing good karma also. In Rajiv Gandhi,
Yes.
born into a wealthy family. Same thing with Donald Trump.
Donald Trump.
But
Yeah.
bad for Charles Manson, born into a very bad family. Father no longer there. Mother is an alcoholic. Mother is not present. So that past life karma is also present. But what I'm mentioning, one more chart which I'll see, because this is a very important chart for Rahu Ketu, and people should understand that Rahu and Ketu have such power that they can bring salvation. We say Ketu is moksha. Ketu controls moksha. Ketu is literal liberation. One chart which I'm going to discuss is Swami Vivekananda. How in his case they are manifesting that in reality, that we are going to see just from the case of Rahu Ketu. No other planets I'm going to discuss there. Let me share the screen. Now see, this is the chart of Vivekananda ji. One point which I want to point out is that Rahu is in 12th, okay, and that too debilitated in Scorpio.
Oh yeah, that's yes.
And Ketu is in 6th with no planet. It is in Taurus. Now Rahu and Ketu both are debilitated. Both are not good. Placement is in Dusthana house, which is also not good. Okay. And this person, he, now see, Swamiji was born on Monday. We will start with this. So, first of all, who is powerful and who will give result under whom, that we will see. So, first is born on a Monday, born on Saptami. Swamiji also has Panchanga dosha. Born on a Monday, Saptami Tithi means Saturn, Moon together. Same combination like with Charles Manson. Born on Monday, born on Saptami. Moon and Saturn in conjunction. Now see that this Saturn and Moon, they are very powerful, making a strong sannyasa yoga. Whenever four
He's about to
planets,
say the sannyasa.
whenever four planets, four or more planets, out of which 10th Lord must be present in them, they are in relation with each other or in conjunction in the Kendra or Trikona houses. In Kendra house or Trikona house, then only a strong sannyasi is considered. Saturn, and in his case, this sannyasi is made by Varesh, Moon. And Moon is also the natural controller of your mind. So it's like double impact. Mind totally immersed. And Saturn is what? Renunciation. Saturn is detachment. Saturn is the yogi. He is known as a Siddha yogi. Nitya Siddha. Paramhansa used to, Ramakrishna Paramhansa is Guru. He used to call him the Nitya Siddha yogi. Nitya Siddha means who is a born yogi. He does not need any effort to get into Samadhi. That is Nitya Siddha. So he is born that way. And why? Because understand, Purva Janma Karma, Saturn is 8th Lord. 8th house is also Purva Janma Karma. 8th house is past life actions. 6th house, 8th house, 5th house, 9th house, 12th house. These are the main houses for Purva Janma. So in this case, Moon is 8th Lord, born. And see, this is a negative combination for his health. He died early. He died at the age of 39. Yeah. So that is coming out to be true. He never married. He never married. He was a monast. He was a monk. So that Panchanga dosha is showing both the things. Life not long, marriage not there. Both the things are coming out to be true. Now next point, sannyasa is strong because Saturn and Mercury are in parivartan. So Saturn, Venus, Mercury and Moon and Mercury, 4 planets are in relation, out of which 10th Lord is present. This yoga is happening in 10th house, made by the Varesh himself. So it makes a strong combination for renunciation, detachment, isolation, a deep longing for emancipation. And further, this is aspected by Ketu. Moon and Saturn, they are aspected by Ketu. Another point, if you see that Moon is 8th Lord, Ketu is 12th Lord, Moksha Trikona controllers. 8th house is Dhyana, Tapasya, 12th house is Samadhi, Moksha. Moon is only in relation with Saturn and Ketu aspect, no other planet. Saturn and Ketu are the only planets for detachment, isolation, renunciation, tap and vairagya. That is Saturn and Ketu. The Moon is bringing that. In Navamsha also, if you will see, Moon is again in 8th house. Tapa, vairagya. It is 9th Lord in 8th house. Bad for father, but very important for spiritual life. Another point, if you will see, this is the main point which I want to emphasize. He gained Nirvikalpa Samadhi in Rahu Dasha. Nirvikalpa Samadhi is the highest state possible. And anybody who reaches Nirvikalpa Samadhi cannot get back into the body. Not possible. He came back because Paramhansa, Ramakrishna Paramhansa, his guru. He was another man. He is another scale. He was considered as avatar. But I'm not talking about his case. He had tremendous powers, tremendous siddhis, and he helped him get Nirvikalpa Samadhi. But after he got, because he got Nirvikalpa Samadhi just weeks before his guru's death. Ramakrishna Paramhansa passed away in February 1886, and in January or last of December in 1885 and early January 1886, Vivekananda achieved Nirvikalpa Samadhi. After that, his guru passed away. And when he got into the Nirvikalpa Samadhi, Ramakrishna Paramhansa said to him that now you are not going to experience this again until and unless you have fulfilled your mission of birth. You have to spread Vedanta. You have to spread spirituality. You have to spread the knowledge of the Vedas. You have to do that. That is why you are born. And until and unless you are not gonna do that, Vivekananda never wanted to do that. He said that I won't do it. Vivekananda said to Ramakrishna that no matter what, I am not interested. I am not gonna do it. He said that your bones will do it. I will make you do it. And he did it ultimately. So the thing here is that Vivekananda, ultimately, he gained Nirkal Samadhi and he passed away in Samadhi at the age of 39. Huh? He went into his room of meditation. He passed away in Samadhi in 1902. But what I'm mentioning here is that who gave the first experience of Samadhi? Rahu. And why? Because Rahu, Ketu are also Kundalini Shakti. They are also the Kundalini
Yes.
Shakti.
Should
And
be
they are
very true. Very
sitting
true.
in Scorpio. Scorpio is literally Kundalini Shakti.
Yes. Yes.
Scorpio is the Kundalini. And 12th
But
house is
but Abhijit, over here, can we say the same thing that as much as it is good for the spiritual life, it is not good for the material
no,
well-being?
no, no, not at all, not at all. For
Yes.
material
Yes.
part, it is very bad. For material
Yes.
part,
Yes.
he suffered a lot of problems, poverty. His father passed away, and the family was not having any things. They were debtors were surrounding them, and during that moment, he was the elder child, and family was dependent upon him. But his guru convinced him that okay, your family will be taken care of because Ram Krishna had siddhi of Kali. He said that Kali promises that your family will have basic necessities fulfilled. You can proceed for spiritual life. And then he became a monk in those dire circumstances when there is nothing. When father has passed away, there is nobody, there is no source of income in the family. In those situations, he came under the discipleship of Sri Ramakrishna and he practiced there as a monk later on. So Rahu, he attained that in Rahu Venus. Rahu Venus was from 28 December 1885 to and see, not Rahu Venus only, Rahu Ketu also, because we don't know the exact date. So Rahu Ketu and Rahu Venus. So it was like in December 1885 to January 1886, because in February, I think 12th February maybe, or somewhere in 6th February around, Paramhamsa passed away. His guru passed away. So before that. So Rahu Ketu and Rahu Venus. So Rahu Ketu, just see Rahu Ketu are activating that in his case. And Ketu is 12th Lord. And who is powerful here? Who is powerful here? Rahu is both of them are powerful actually. But if you see who is powerful than whom, so Ketu is powerful than Rahu. Why? Because first of all, who is the Lord of Ketu? Actually, both of them are powerful. But why I'm saying that Ketu is further? Because of two reasons. First of all, Ketu is dependent on Venus, which is well placed in second house. Huh? Which is well placed in second house. Then Venus is making a strong yoga with Mercury, Saturn, and Moon, which are friends of Venus. Same thing in Navamsha, Venus is exalted.
Hmm.
Huh?
Dispositor, yes.
Dispositor is exalted. So Ketu becomes powerful, and Ketu is in the nakshatra of Mangal. Mangal and Ketu are in nakshatra Parivartan.
Parivartan.
It gets full support from Mars also, which is fifth lord. So Ketu is powerful. If Ketu is powerful, Rahu will act under the dominion of Ketu, and Ketu is also the 12th lord. So what is 12th house? Moksha, renunciation, siddhi, tapasya, dhyana, samadhi. That is 12th. So Rahu Ketu, Rahu Venus. He attained that. And Guru, ninth lord, is well placed. See, he in Sun, his Atma Karak. Sun is his ninth lord. Sun is in the Lagna, Vargottam, in Pushkaramsha, and very well placed, which shows high Siddha Guru and himself to be on the same scale. Sun is Atma, natural Atma Karak. Atma Karak shows you the self awareness, scale of self awareness. For spiritual people, for any spiritual giants, you have to see the Atma Karak. If Atma Karak is
Whenever we talk about the Uttarashadha, the only name which comes to my mind is Swami Vivekananda. That sort of regality, nobility you can see.
Correct. And one more thing which you have to understand, he was a very logical man of reason. He didn't believe his guru. He was a man of science and philosophy, and he was very much influenced by Western philosophical thought. But as I mentioned, Ram Krishna was on another scale. It's like Vivekananda, before meeting Ram Krishna, he knew the he understood the concept of God and everything from a theoretical point of view. Ram Krishna lived it. Ram Krishna, it's like he asked, the first question he asked with Ram Krishna, have you seen God? In all of Bengal at that time, he went to prominent figures of Bengal at that time. and he asked them that, have you seen God? People gave him some answers which were not satisfactory to his scale, because none of them has seen God. Only Ramakrishna said that I have seen God just like the way I see you. And he was so astonished that how can a person claim so boldly that I see the God like I see you in real terms. So he's like Ramakrishna was not adept in scholars as a scholar. He was not a bookish man. He was a man of experience. He was just a simple bhakta, but a very profound avatar. So when you under people don't know about his guru very much, but when you understand Vivekananda's guru, there is a reason why he is a guru. Vivekananda is not a easy man to deal with. Ramakrishna says repeatedly in his, there is a book, I will not say it is a biography written by one of his disciple known as Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna. People can read if they are interested. You will find there that Ramakrishna says that Vivekananda has been one of the toughest students which I had. He used to question everything. He used to demean me. He used to ask so many questions. He used to never believe me at all. But ultimately he surrendered, because Ramakrishna had so much to teach, and he was, as I said, he was a man of literal experience. It's like I am directly in communion with the God. I know this by first hand experience. I don't need books anymore. Books are for people who want to study and theorize. So it was such a raw experience, which for Vivekananda was very new and unbelievable. So in his case, we are discussing his chart, but that happened in Rahu Dasha. And Kundalini Shakti, if you see this also, Vimshamsha, which is seen for spiritual life. Sun Rahu Ketu,
Yes.
Atma Karak is with Rahu Ketu. Atma Karak, I said, na? Sun is Atma Karak. That too in Pisces. Pisces is moksha, detachment, isolation, samadhi. All those things, they are present. So this was just one case which I wanted to share for with the people, so that they can look at the beauty of Rahu Ketu, because they have capacity to give you literal salvation, self-awareness, the direct witness of the Brahman, which we are, which every living being is on the path to. Whether you realize it or not, that is not the point, but that is the journey which we are on to, self-realization. He attained it, and Rahu Ketu gave that.
No, that's Abhijit, that's so delightful that you brought, because in this discussion we brought all aspect, all avenue of Rahu and Ketu, like from giving someone a criminal mindset to massive political power to global fame towards Kundalini. Because the Kundalini word which you said, because I never thought it from that point of view. Definitely that serpentine energy going through all the chakras, that definitely is nodal axis. No, definitely, Abhijit, it was amazing talking to you. Definitely, we will, for our audience, we will definitely be coming up with some more interesting topics, and we'll try to serve that with proper logic, proper techniques, and proper case study. And definitely for the audience as well, if they have any suggestions, so guys, please feel free to suggest the more topics in the comment section, because me and like Abhijit will be doing lot many more videos. This is just a beginning. And yes, Abhijit, thanks a lot, dear, for again collaborating for this.
From my side, I enjoyed this discussion a lot, and I hope that we are able to bring that part of Rahu Ketu in front of the people, which they don't see. So it's not always negative. It can be negative, which we discussed. It can be extremely negative, extremely good. It can make person entrapped in deep materialism. It can make person a Siddha yogi.
Yes,
so we have covered all wide.
That's right, Ketu. And definitely. But thanks, Abhijit. Once again, thanks a lot. And definitely, I'll stay in touch with you for further more topics which you'll be bringing up again. Thanks a lot, Abhijit. Thank you. Bye. Bye.